Board meeting of March 24th, 2026 in the Carver Town Hall Meeting Room 1. These proceedings will be videotaped and rebroadcasted by Area 58 TV. If we could all please stand for the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. The first item on the agenda tonight is an A&R plan. This plan is not deemed to be a subdivision because all of the proposed tracts have frontage on a pre-existing public way and no new public ways are proposed as part of this application. Assessors map 122, lot 2 and 5-1, located at Mayflower Road, Carver, Mass. In the residential agricultural zoning district.
Hello everyone, thanks for having us tonight. For the record, my name is Brandon Barry with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. We're here as stated for a Form A approval not required plan for a tract of land on Mayflower Road. The applicant is proposing to create 8 lots that have the required zoning, upland area, and frontage. This is an application that was before the board back in November for the same tract of land. After some deliberation with the property owner, they requested that an additional lot be created, which is what we have done. The previous A&R plan, which was approved, was never recorded, so those lots weren't created. So we are not modifying that plan. We are just creating a new one. As mentioned, they have the lots comply with zoning. The only other thing I would mention, we had discussions with the interim planner, Valerie, about this application and the fee that we were submitting. In the cover letter that was provided, we mentioned that we were requesting a waiver just for the fee to include the application fee and then the difference in lots from the original 7 to 8, which is something that we would like to discuss with the board. I didn't have a chance to discuss it with Sean because this was submitted about 2 days after he started. Welcome any questions that the board may have.
So you already paid your fees for 7 lots, and you decided not to move forward with that. Now you're creating 8, and you want us to waive the fees.
We're paying just the fee for the difference in lots. Valerie thought that was something appropriate that we could discuss with the board.
Okay.
I believe last time that you came with an A&R, you were told of the requirements to put in the 65 and 100 foot, as well as any areas under the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission in regards to A&Rs?
That was discussed at the last hearing, but I think we determined that that was not required as the plan was approved. We submitted the plan to match the old one as much as we could.
We allowed it last time. It's still required. It's listed as a requirement, and because half of this town is a wetland, we have to be able to determine if there is real and accessible access to the building portions of the sites.
I believe our discussion last time was that the A&R plan is just to confirm that the lots comply with zoning. Whether or not they are buildable and have access is not underneath the jurisdiction of the approval not required plan.
Vital access to the buildable portion of the site is, and that's under state law. Now, has the select board exercised its right of refusal for Chapter 61A, properties coming out of agricultural?
That is something I believe the sale of this property has not exchanged hands at this point in time, so I believe that's something that the owner of the property will work out with the applicant when they approach the sale.
The applicant being the town of Carver?
The applicant being Eric Pontiff.
Eric Pontiff. Has the town of Carver exercised its right of first refusal into this property? Because I seem to remember seeing something that they requested funds in order to acquire the properties.
I'm not sure about that.
Well, why would, now we are allowed to note certain aspects in regards to these. And I think it should be noted that according to Carver bylaws, 281-1C4 maybe. No person shall build any residential dwelling within 100 feet of a cranberry bog. Now, it's not up to us to determine, but it should be noted for anybody who might think of purchasing the land. I think that's an important aspect of it.
I would agree.
And I don't know that we should waive the fee if they can't comply with the submittal requirements for an A&R. And it wasn't that long ago.
No. I don't think the fee should be waived. I know that that's a conversation you had with our interim planner, but she's not here, so.
I think that was something she said we could submit a reduced fee to start the application and discuss that with the board. I think if the fee is not being waived, we would not be opposed to paying the difference and contingent picking up the approved Mylar on that.
Any other comments or concerns from the board?
I would like that note put on the A&R itself, but
I thought we had discussed that last time, no?
it's just a note, it's not a requirement, but it should be noted.
No, but I thought you brought that up at the last meeting.
Oh, I did not bring up that no person shall build any residential dwelling within 100 feet of a cranberry bog.
Oh, I thought you were referring
No.
to just the
other one is on
delineation.
here that,
That endorsement is not, does not determine conformance with zoning or
Right.
buildability of the lots.
Right, right.
and
Okay.
this isn't a legal requirement, this is something that can be overturned by the Conservation Commission, but I think it should be noted.
Okay, all right.
And these go like right, like all like butting all the bogs and everything, right? They butt all the bogs, like real close to the bogs, so.
That's why I think it should be noted, and the fact that we don't know where the wetland or protected areas are in regards to this property, and whether all the lots have the required vital access necessary to reach the building site, because it looks like plot number 8 is questionable, and maybe plot number 1. But it all depends on where the house is built, I suppose, and that's something we can leave up to the building inspector to determine.
I would agree.
We also know any work, whether it just be grading work, clearing work required to build the houses that are within buffer areas, so the Concom would require a notice of intent with them prior to construction. So that is something, when we've looked at it, obviously not shown on here, but we have looked at buildable areas and confirmed that we can provide houses that do comply with the Concom requirements, both no new construction within 100 feet, setbacks from wells to the conservation areas. That is something that we have considered, and in areas where we may need to apply to the Conservation Commission, fully intend to.
Okay, very good. All right. Do we want to take a vote on the fee? Because we need to make a determination on that as well.
I'll make a motion to not waive the fee. I'm gonna make it in the positive, I'm sorry, because it makes the response a little easier. I'll make a motion to approve the waiver of the fee. And as discussion goes, I'm not in favor of this. I think that following the submittal rules are clearly outlined, and we've been through this discussion before, and we've been through it with many applicants, and I think it's, I don't think it's unreasonable.
So your motion is to,
Approve the waiver, so, because I think it's best to vote in the positive or negative, because if I make a negative motion, not to approve the waiver, and then your response is either yes to not approve the waiver and no, and I'm just afraid that that's going to be a little confusing, so I'm going to make it in the affirmative.
okay. All right, and that's been seconded?
And it's been seconded.
So, I'm confused, sorry.
Do you wish that the motion is, do you wish to approve the waiver of the fee?
No.
Kevin Robinson says no.
And Mr. Shea says no.
Ellen Sedillo says no.
Mary Lynn Williams says no on that.
I will make a motion to approve the A and R. Are we interested in putting a statement on it or not?
Yes, we should put a statement on it.
Okay, with the statement, it is noted by the board, planning board, no person shall build with any residential dwelling within 100 feet of a cranberry bog.
Mhm.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Lynn Williams says aye.
Just procedurally, the plan is approved contingent on us adding that note to it and then supplying a new Mylar for signature.
Yes.
Okay, all right. We will get that down so that can get certified
Okay.
as soon as we can.
Very good.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda this evening, we have a public hearing that has been continued. Fuller Stone Street Solar LLC requesting a special permit and site plan review pursuant to Section 290-3-1, 290-3-6, 290-5-3 of the Carver zoning bylaw located off Fuller Street in Carver, Mass. Assesses map 50, lot 1 in the residential agricultural zoning district to install and operate a ground-mounted solar energy facility with coupled battery energy storage system.
Good evening, Stacy Minahan with Beals and Thomas.
Greg Sampson with Sullivan and Worcester.
So if it pleases the board, I can provide an update from the last meeting that we were at. So supplemental materials were submitted, including revised plans. Just even this out or it'll drive me nuts. The changes to the plan, first is the battery energy storage has been, originally it was proposed in Carver, then it was relocated to Middleborough. It's now been relocated again back to Carver at this location.
Can I
So they
just,
were-
excuse me, I don't mean
Yes.
to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Is that because Middleborough didn't want it?
No, so yes, that's a good question, but I'm going to go through the reasons why. So you'll recall probably that it was, I think, originally proposed here, which is adjacent to wetlands. And then it was proposed over in this area in Middleborough, also within buffer zones. It's now proposed here, more centrally located within the array, not in buffer zones and with electric access along an existing road to the east. So after looking at it and realizing that it could be placed there, it's a better location for various
And it
design
wasn't for the
reasons.
resistance you received in Middleborough, based
There-
on an
I believe-
article I read?
Yeah.
There was
Yes,
resistance.
there was
Yeah.
certainly resistance in Middleborough.
Yeah.
And there's residences closer.
That's the other
in
Okay.
Middleborough, so this was
Yeah.
allowed us to place it further from any residences,
I see.
Yes. so-
including any in Carver, so that, yeah.
Correct, yeah. So whereas here it was closer to residents, and thank you, Greg, because that was one of the notes, residents and wetlands, right? So residents and wetlands here, but here, no residents and no wetlands.
Understood.
So that was the, I think, most notable change since we last met. I mentioned the underground electric to connect to the battery energy adjacent to the existing array that electric will run. We also shifted the northernmost portion of the Carver array south a bit and proposed 7 evergreen plantings here for the visual mitigation that the board had discussed.
I see Mr. Glines went with our recommendation in regards to the screening closer to Fuller Street along the berm. If you wouldn't mind.
Andy Glines with Fuss & O'Neill, peer review consultant on behalf of the town. As Mr. Shea mentioned, we did review the applicant's revised plans. They're currently proposing plant material for screening located just to the north of the eastern array, as she indicated. Fussin O'Neill's recommendation is to relocate that same plant material that's proposed and install it basically closer to Fuller Street along an existing embankment, so it'll be at a higher elevation. It's just to the southeast of that parcel. And
Is this the area that you're talking about, just for?
so it's on parcel 50-1, but to the southeast of the parcel that you were indicating. There's an existing berm there, right along the boundary of the FEMA zone X and A.
Okay, so here, because I know I did speak with Sarah, and I think this was the area of the berm, which is off Locust, that the board had visited with her in the field. So based on our evaluation, this was the feasible location to put additional screenings.
So admittedly, Fussin O'Neill wasn't at the site walk for this, but I drive by the site and looking at street view based on what I understand the current view shed from that road is. I think that it'd be more beneficial to place the plant material on that ridge line. It's still on the applicant's property, and then we wouldn't make any recommendations to change the amount or type of plant material that's proposed. Our main concern with the plant material that's currently proposed, it's in the existing bog, obviously about 2 feet lower than the surrounding bog roads, and it would take longer for that plant material to mature to a height where it would provide the same screening value, where at the location that Fussin O'Neill's recommending, that embankment is 4 or 5 feet higher than the surrounding topography already, so even in the initial planting, will provide some visual screening. That said, we're open to the applicant and the planning board discussion. It was just something that Fussin O'Neill added to the most recent review memo because that plant material was added in the latest revisions of the plans.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes.
So these are still bogs, correct, that you're,
They will no longer be farmed as cranberry bogs after the installation of the array, including where the vegetation is proposed. And so I think perhaps we could look into, increasing the elevation for that installation. My only hesitancy is because the area that is being discussed for screening is off-site, and I would remind the board, I do think during the site visit, there was discussion that I thought, we were of the understanding after the site visit that no screening was needed, and so when there was the discussion at the hearing requesting screening, we did add some at a location that we thought made sense in terms of stopping the view. I understand what you're saying regarding the berm height, but where it's not part of Locust.
it's all part of the same property?
The location that I'm recommending is on parcel 50-1. I can,
Yep,
No,
that'd be great.
because when we were out discussing it, there were two areas. There was the front berm that you mentioned out by Fuller Street, and then there was a second berm that ran along, I'm supposing it's the access road, on the other side of what appears to be a reservoir. Yes? Is that a reservoir there?
Where are you speaking? Here,
Yeah, right there. The pond.
this?
Oh, well,
Or is this where you're?
When we first discussed it, it was out here by Fuller Street, but when we walked along, we discussed this as a potential
Oh.
in this area here along that berm.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, and this
certainly
is-
it wasn't.
So it can't move, the screening can't move closer here because there's an existing access way that needs to be maintained, so we can't put it on the road, which is why
Right.
we place it in this
We were
area that won't be bog
I
anymore.
think we looked at the other side of the road and the embankment and slope that was there. But I understand the access. So, despite the fact that we're putting solar on these and cranberries will no longer be farmed on this, it still remains a bog, correct?
These are, I'm not sure if I understand the question, so let me answer and you can tell me if this is not hitting at what you're getting at. So these are upland cranberry bogs that, when they're no longer farmed with the hydrology maintained, will revert to upland.
I'm not entirely certain that that's possible without filling.
Well, the,
Based on the drainage requirements of the cranberry bogs, and it's all sand, it becomes an environmentally sensitive area no matter how long it's been quote-unquote upland. And has that been determined by the Conservation Commission that this is an upland bog? And have
That's
you-
how it's being
Yeah.
reviewed right now, yes.
So I certainly wouldn't recommend approving it until we hear back from the Conservation Commission as to the level of environmental sensitivity, but I have concerns that it was formerly a cranberry bog and that we're looking to put a load of hazardous materials on it, and the concerns are water doesn't stay where it is, and that's going to be a big problem, and the level of drainage in that soil is such that anything that permeates that soil is going right into the ground. Also, I don't see that we have enough details on what's being proposed here. It's just a square block, and it doesn't really tell us what's going in, how many is going in, the level of kilowatts, and such. Could you tell me what tier level this falls under as far as battery energy storage systems go?
I can't answer that off the top of my head. Again, I think it's a battery energy system coupled with a solar project.
5.
It's not a standalone battery.
It's probably in the
That's-
4 to
I
5
would,
megawatt.
yeah.
Because I'm asking because regardless of what the case may be in regards to what our building inspector determined, because he doesn't have the power to determine the bylaws, that's why we all sit here. He has the power to enforce the bylaws as determined by the planning board. The Attorney General approved that based on the language it was written by, and also our usage chart prohibits level 3, tier 3 battery storage systems in agricultural residential areas. It allows tier 1 and 2, but it doesn't. It clearly has a no for tier 3 in residential and agricultural. So I think we need to determine the tier in regards to this. I think we need to have a more definitive breakdown on what's being planned in that area, and I think we would need determination from the Conservation Commission in regards to where this area falls in sensitivity.
Sue, yes, please, and before you start, I would like to apologize for not making an introduction to our new town planner, Sean Lewis, and we are so happy to have you with us, Sean, so I apologize for not giving you a proper introduction.
No worries. I just wanted to bring up, it is in the staff memo, it's a 5 megawatt AC BESS system. And we also had Amy Quessel's email that I sent.
I disagree. She quoted, she does nowhere in which I don't have a copy of, so I have to go by memory. What she quoted was enforcement, and it was enforcement of permitted projects or otherwise allowed projects, and we're here to permit the project. So we're here to determine whether or not battery energy storage system special permits apply to this project, and from then he can go on to the enforcement in regards to that, in regards to what necessary materials or subject matter he needs in order to go forward with what was approved.
I just want to make sure it's clear that a BESS system as an accessory use is an allowed use. It's been through the courts many times.
Well, specifically the one that was quoted was for an approved project by the permitting board, which the courts stated was more or less that they had the power to approve it.
Mm-hmm.
And
And also, we could also condition anything from the Conservation Commission as well. That shouldn't stop you from making a decision on this. So, thank you.
Well, it's supposed to be taken in at the same time as this, so they should have already done it or be in the process of doing it so that we can see what the Conservation Commission feels in regards to this. But I disagree in the fact that our bylaws were approved by the Attorney General. They were approved language as written. I note that it's a mention that somebody stated that it was specific to standalone systems, which is not necessarily the case, and it was, I think, a misstatement by the person who made it at the time. I sat on these bylaws, I helped write these bylaws, and it was to ensure that it covered all systems. And I think with the growing concern and the concerns that the town has in regards to what is in here, and I think that's a level tier 3 out in the center of town here, and concerns over the health, safety, welfare of our citizens and the environment, that we have to treat it as such. It was approved by the Attorney General, it's written.
Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes, please.
can I respond? So to appreciate the comments, I will say we are before the Conservation Commission. We've had a couple hearings. We are continued. But there's been no argument from the Commission's point of view that these are anything other than upland bogs. So that I can't say, we don't have a permit, so we can't say that's a done issue, but I will say no one's raised that as a concern that would change this design at all. I mean, if that was not an upland bog, this project is a floating solar project. So it's a different project. So, just want to establish that, and we'll maintain, the zoning enforcement officer has the authority to enforce the zoning, but that also is to interpret the zoning. If you were to say that the best system bylaw applies and this is prohibited, he would likely go to his decision and say that part of your special permit decision is irrelevant because that's not enforceable. So I would like to just say, you've heard from town council and the zoning enforcement officer in the town regarding solar coupled with BESS. It is a different treatment, and we maintain that that's the case here.
I will agree that
Yeah.
he does have the enforcement powers as stated by the attorney, but interpretation powers and the fact that this is separate and complete and not under any sort of accessory, the best bylaws define what a BESS is, and it doesn't say accessory or side use, and the state does allow it, and that's why the Attorney General approved our bylaws as a standalone from the system. If it was limited strictly to standalone, it would have said standalone. It doesn't.
Right. I will say that I'm just a little disappointed. However, I expected this to happen after reading the article that was out there about Middleborough. So I knew it was just a matter of time before you provided these revised plans showing now the battery storage in Carver rather than Middleborough. So I'm disappointed by it, but I understand why you've had to do it and the reasoning of the homes that are probably closer to it. But I think for me, it affects my decision now that, Middleborough didn't want it. So now we have it.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. I will say kudos to your town. Carver's fire department has been very easy to work with. They've reviewed the revised layout. They've had no issues. I think for Middleborough, it was not something they had experience with as well, which created some uproar that couldn't be quelled.
Right.
So I appreciate the fact that it's kind of a ping pong and it's, feels like the wrong decision, but we did land in a spot that's completely upland and very accessible.
Unfortunately for us, we're all too familiar with it here in Carver because it's happening everywhere.
Right.
Which is sad, but true.
I think we should hear from Middleborough. I think we should send something over and
I think maybe Mr. Glines could comment on that because he's working with Middleborough as well.
Andy Glines with Fuss & O'Neill again, town peer review consultant. I have been also conducting the review for the other half of this project on behalf of the Middleborough Zoning Board, which is the authority having jurisdiction in that municipality. The main confusion with Middleborough and the zoning board was that the original applicant's plans just called out equipment pad on the plan set, and then a later revised plan specifically called out one of those equipment pads to be an equipment pad for battery energy storage system. And I acknowledge the applicant's approach to relocate the storage system to a location that was outside of the 100-foot buffer, which was one of the original comments that came from the Carver side of things. But obviously, with a project like this that crosses municipal boundaries, the location that they picked, crossed the town boundary, and then I think that wasn't initially, the board members there weren't initially aware of that change until it came up in their zoning board meeting 2 weeks ago. But I do know that the Carver Fire Department was coordinating directly with the Middleborough Fire Department, and the Middleborough Fire Department also provided a memo to the zoning board in regards to their emergency response at that time, and those comments were very consistent with what the Carver Fire Department prepares for these type of projects. I happy to share the review memos that Fuss & O'Neill has prepared with for the zoning board. I can give those to Sean, the town planner, and have those distributed. But the comments are and recommendations are very similar to what we've been providing to Carver, obviously just with different references to the local bylaws in their municipality.
Very good, thank you.
Currently, though, this proposed siting of the battery storage system is currently a cranberry bog?
No, it is located within an area that had been prepped to become a cranberry bog and was not a cranberry bog. So it's that southerly area that I spoke about at the last meeting. So it's not currently a cranberry bog.
So when we went on the site walk, that wasn't part of the plans at the time, correct?
Correct.
Solar, the battery wasn't proposed here. It was proposed north, I think, when
Right,
you went
no,
on
I
the
mean-
site visit. But the solar array,
So that's being added in there.
that's been there,
Was,
at least since I was before the board the last
Sandy
time.
area, I think, right?
What's that?
Big open sandy area.
Yeah.
Yes, yep, yeah.
was earth removal conducted in that area for the purpose of agriculture?
I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to look into it.
Our understanding was they were preparing to do a cranberry bog,
They were-
but they didn't.
So they got an earth removal permit to prepare a cranberry bog, which would fall under agricultural, but now no cranberry bog, no agricultural, because solar is considered ancillary to agricultural. So I have a lot of concerns. And I would like to hear more directly from the ZBA in regards to what their concerns are. The Middleborough ZBA, that is.
Correct, right. What's that, Mr. Maynard?
I think that's quite prudent.
Yes.
And also, I expect all of the conditions as recommended by our Fuss & O'Neill will be included in the decision, especially the condition to requiring a joint construction meeting with the town of Carver and the town of Middleborough. And the reiteration of the annual reporting requirements. Also, I think it might have been yours, but I got a lot on my plate tonight. It was mentioned in your operation manual, that should this be approved, that batteries should be removed within 30 days, non-operational or unfunctioning batteries. And it's 90 days for panels. I think you kind of, I don't know if I have it on this one. It might have not have been, but that should be included in there specifically.
Did this project have an owner like that, or is he fixing it?
It's an easy one to deal with.
Operations and maintenance plan, that's what it was. I don't know if it was for this project or any of them, but it should be specifically identified that that's the requirements.
Yes, please.
The decision that's been written has incorporated all of the conditions that Fuss and O'Neill has given us, and it's also been passed back to them for review, and they've approved it, so everything they've put in there.
Thank you, Sean. It looked very extensive and well-written, and I went through most of it, but most of it was on, I had to read online, and it's hard to mark it up and make notes on it.
If I could, would it be possible just to get us, try and summarize the open issues then?
Sure,
So
absolutely.
I understand that you'd like somehow to get some information from Middleborough's
Yes.
review as far as status. We can provide meeting minutes presumably. I don't know, we'll try and facilitate through
Okay.
Fuss and O'Neill, but we can do that. We can verify the planting locations to see if, as recommended by Fuss and O'Neill, that is feasible, or if we
Okay.
think it's problematic, we can make sure that the grading is such that, that what we're proposing is workable. And then I think we have a question related to, there's some questions about the details. I'm a little unsure of what additional materials needed there. I think we had, a full engineering package, but if there is more specific concerns about details that are needed, we're happy to provide them. I just am not aware of,
Okay.
after what we've been through for review of. And then the last thing I had was just the status of the Conservation Commission reviewing these as upland bogs.
Okay, very good. Mr. Shea, would you like to comment on the details that you were
We
mentioning?
need the details of the proposed battery
Battery.
energy
Oh, okay.
storage site.
Yes.
Size, megawatts, distance between containers, how many issues will be contained, how the pad and berming will be placed, and what will be done to capture any
Yes.
hazardous waste materials that might be expelled from this site.
Okay.
And I know that you're probably frustrated by this process, but this is new to us here for the project.
Understood. Yeah, no, I know that there's a transition as well with, everyone coming on board, so.
No,
and we've moved-
I just mean the
yeah.
battery, because
Oh.
these are probably discussions that we would have had previously,
Sure, understood.
you
yeah.
know.
I think, if I may, one of the items you mentioned was a berm around the battery, correct?
Yes.
That has been incorporated on the plans that were resubmitted to the board as well.
Thank you.
And then the only other, so as far as the O&M plan, I believe that is generally a condition for a final plan to be submitted with the change out of the materials. Is that satisfactory, that it's a condition prior to starting construction that you have that?
I would, but the specific details of what I mentioned, the removal process of 30 days for batteries and 90 days for non-functioning panels, but other than that, I would defer to Mr. Glines.
Okay.
Andy Glines with Fuss and O'Neill. I guess specifically regarding the battery energy storage system details, Fuss and O'Neill understands that the electrical design hasn't been done yet. It's typically not done until after these approvals are obtained. But we would like to see, I guess, draft versions of the details that show basically what would be provided on the equipment pad.
Sure.
As Mr. Shea mentioned, size of the battery energy storage containers, spacing between those containers. And although there is a detail for the pad itself and cross-section view, basically a plan view of that pad, I think will be beneficial to Fuss O'Neill and the board and the fire department. That said, we understand that that may need to be adjusted once the electrical design is progressed, so Fuss O'Neill can certainly provide some recommendation on how to qualify that detail if needed to work with the applicant on that, so that when that portion of the design is complete and it's submitted for building permit review, basically the building department will know, what would be considered a substantial change from what this board approved.
Okay.
Very good.
And we should check into the usage chart.
I do have that open, and essentially anything over 1 megawatt would be a tier 3. Obviously, I guess we can provide additional input on that, but I guess ultimately Fuss O'Neill needs a determination from the town and the board on the applicability. We understand Mr. Shea's stance on that, and we also understand town council's opinion on that as well. So I guess either way, Fuss O'Neill can certainly provide a more thorough review of that best bylaw section.
You could tell us whether it fits within the battery energy storage system bylaws as well. I mean, it requires a special permit, and whether the board decides to go, that's how they interpret it. The same as is still left open to interpretation, but I would like to know if it's in alignment with that particular.
And on that note, I know other applicants in the past have still followed the bylaws, even though they may not have necessarily agreed on their applicability. So I know this is incorporate some of that same applicant ownership team. So I can work with the applicant to review that component as well, and then it would be up to town planner and town council to write that into the decision appropriately.
Thank you.
Very good. So I assume at this point we'll be looking for a motion to continue this matter.
Yes.
But before we do, whereas this is a public hearing, would anyone like to get up and speak on this matter? No? Okay. If there were no further questions from the board, then, yes.
Oh, we just need a time waiver signed.
Oh, yes.
We won't continue.
Yeah, very good.
Yes.
You will do that? Okay, thank you. Oh, we do have someone who wants to speak.
I just have a question. Is it still going to be a public hearing?
It is.
It's still continued.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Did we determine, did you determine what you were going to use for the racking system material?
I believe
know
it's
that I know that
steel.
we want to make sure that
Yeah.
it's not going to be, done with wood piles or treated
Yes.
preservatives. But I was wondering if you actually have what you plan on having it made out of.
Yep, yeah, I believe it's steel, and I think at the last meeting, Mr. Glines had indicated that he could work for a condition that allowed some flexibility, understanding how things go, but, preventing what the town doesn't want to be included,
Okay, thank you.
which is, perfectly acceptable.
Andy Glines with Fuss O'Neill. So the applicant currently is including a detail for a metal ground screw, basically, helical. To that effect, and I guess I should note that the applicant at the zoning board meeting did confirm that they were comfortable basically locking in that foundation type. I don't want to do that for all, solar array applications in the future. I'd rather just prohibit what, they can't use, understanding that some of that changes as the design progresses to construction documents. But in this case, I think, since the applicant's already proposing the ground screw, we can certainly reiterate that as a condition to again make sure that any other permitting agency that, as the project progresses, would know that if that changes, they would need to come back to this planning board to get that approved.
Thank you.
And the height of the array, has that been established?
Yeah.
Yes, it's in the decision.
Yeah, I believe that is correct. I can double check. But in the past, and certainly on this project as well, we recommend a condition of approval for the maximum height of the array, giving a little bit of buffer beyond what the applicant anticipates the height to be, usually an extra foot, just to account for some undulation in the topography. But again, just to reiterate, if that height is exceeded, it's a clear threshold on when the applicant would have to come back for a modification to the planning board.
Very good.
That's acceptable. Could I, Madam Chair, could I just, so with respect to the waiver of the time,
Sure.
is it okay if I just say we waive it for an additional 60 days from the date of this hearing? I just don't want to waive all rights.
Yes, you can,
Okay.
you can write a date certain
Okay.
if you want to, that's fine.
Thanks.
Just
For the waiver to extend.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, not to leave it open-ended completely. So a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing on Fuller Street Solar to April 28th, 2026, 7 PM, Carver Town Hall, Room 1.
I'll second
Mr. Lake?
Aye.
that. Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Pillow says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
Could you just clarify the date, please? Was it the 28th?
April 28th, 2026.
Okay. There's no earlier hearing?
I think there is one before that.
There is one before that, but I might be on vacation that particular date, and I'd hate to have to change my vacation in order to
Today's a
come
Monday.
back. Plus,
Today's a Monday.
we're severely overloaded.
28th.
Oh, 28th, okay.
Yeah.
20th.
We're severely overloaded for this meeting
That's
tonight.
fine.
and,
Right.
It's fine, I just wanted to double check. And
Okay.
that is, if someone's going to potentially miss, then that factors into our decision as well, so.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
You have a good
Thank
night.
I believe so. It's usually earlier than
You mean the meeting?
the
Okay,
meeting.
next on the agenda this evening, we have Wareham Street Solar 2 LLC requesting a special permit and site plan review pursuant to Section 290-3-1, 290-3-6, 290-5-3, and 290-4-3 of the Carver zoning bylaw located off Wareham Street in Carver, Mass. Assessors map 134, lots 4-2A, 4-2B, and 4-3 in the residential agricultural zoning district. The project consists of a large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic system with coupled battery energy storage system. Hello again.
Good evening.
Hi, Stacy Minahan with Beals and Thomas.
Greg Sampson with Sullivan and Worcester.
Right, since we were, let's see, last before the board, we had requested a continuance from the last meeting because we had received Fuss and O'Neill's kind of penultimate review letter, and we've also received another today. But the two changes for the materials that we had submitted coming out of the prior board's review and Fuss and O'Neill's review was adding some erosion control barriers around the limits of the array and also along the proposed improvement areas for the existing access road. And then there had also been a question as to property line setbacks. And there's been some coordination in that regard, and I believe the approach is to put in place a future approval not required plan to adjust the lot lines as needed.
Now, you currently are for lack of a better term, grandfathered into the bylaws of 2021 at that point.
So most of the project
Right,
is,
now, I'm just gonna state that the best bylaws didn't come in until 2023 or 2024, so, I mean, that's something that you're gonna wanna have to consider.
do you want to, so the majority of the project is on land that was the subject of a definitive subdivision plan approval. That portion of the project is still subject to the zoning from 2021. Even if we change the lot lines, that portion of the project is still subject to the old zoning. Town council agreed with that today. The portion of the project that is on, that encroaches onto the Hammond Street lot does not have the benefit of the zoning freeze. But practically, the zoning, as far as the setback and the 12.5 feet between the side lot lines, that was the same in the old zoning as the new. So we can do the A&R plan, create what, the real benefit of this is that it makes for a nice, easy assessment. So the town assessor's office will appreciate the fact that we'll have one project under one lot, another project under a different lot. The parcels are large enough that we have plenty of lot area and frontage on public way. So we think that the A&R is appropriate and convenient, and it doesn't undermine the zoning protection because the majority of the lot remains protected, and the portion that isn't is kind of irrelevant as to whether or not it's new or old zoning.
Understood, thank you.
You're gonna come in with the A&R, is what you're proposing?
I'd love to have that as a condition because it would be
No,
convenient
We
to,
can work with that. I'm just asking,
Oh.
do both lots have direct and vital access to the buildable portion of the site? Which
Yes.
is where you'll be building? Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry I didn't mean to answer what
No,
you're
no,
asking. Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I think this is the specific project that the letter was sent. Sincerely, Stacy Minahan, in regards to the operation and maintenance plan. Again, instead of putting the 90-day, the panels must be removed in 90 days. It says, the project owner will implement a structured response process designed to ensure that equipment is addressed promptly and that the facility continues to operate safely and efficiently. As much as efficiently operating projects is your concern, the safety and the removal of these panels in a timely manner is our concern. And again, it's 30 days for the batteries, because it says if a non-functional best components determined to have a material impact on production or operation of the facility, the project owner will schedule repair or replacement as soon as practicable after the issue is confirmed and responsibilities are determined under warranties and everything. But that's not, we require the removal of any non-functioning or problematic batteries within 30 days. And because I know you have real-time assessment of the functioning of the batteries, that shouldn't be an issue. And it should be part of the reporting process for both of these, that we had to remove a panel that got broken in a hailstorm or something got blown into it. That should be part of your reporting process. And you're saying you got A&R it, and you're gonna put in the 12.5-foot separate?
May I ask why you are doing the A&R? What made that decision?
See, well, it allows, so one of the requirements was to have 12.5 foot of separation off the property line.
Yeah.
As of right now, the property line runs right through an array. So we would have to have a 25-foot gap in the array field.
Okay.
Which
Alright.
just doesn't make any sense. So by shifting the property line, and again, the reason why you see the Hammond Street property the way it was is because it makes for easy assessment.
I see.
So in a lot of the towns we work in, you actually, the assessors go and they draw a property line around the projects, so they have a separate parcel, even without an A&R.
Right, right.
So that there is some operational convenience and efficiency as well. So when it was brought up, it seemed like the solution that worked best for the landowner and the town
Understood.
and us.
Yes, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
if it's helpful, I did just want to mention, and it sounds like and I can confirm with New Leaf that the 30 days is likely acceptable, but I just did want to call the board's attention to the second page, management of non-functioning equipment is broken down by items that are of safety or imminent concern to be addressed immediately.
Okay.
And then it goes into, non-functioning, which obviously is not ideal for the project output, within 30 days, subject to availability of manufacturer info. And then it goes into, for minor performance issues or equipment malfunctions that aren't a safety concern and don't materially affect production, that the equipment would be documented and then replaced the next time someone's on site. So the intent is safety immediately, functioning within 30 days, minor things that are neither really here nor there the next time they're out. And there is some information included in the last paragraph about the components, that they're sealed, don't contain materials that are handled on site during operation, et cetera. So just to call that out, I think it's important.
And you're still looking at the clear cutting of 27 acres for this project?
It is about that. Let me see if I can pull out my notes to refresh my memory so that I don't misspeak for the latest design. It's 28 acres of tree clearing and grubbing, and then 1.5 acres of tree cutting with the stumps to remain. So 29.5 acres of tree cutting. Again, and I can run through the presentation from last time if it's helpful, but the major design revisions from when we first submitted were to pull all of the cutting out of the buffer zone. So no tree cutting in the buffer zone, and then the total site area, including the access roads, is 31.3 acres when you add in those areas that are being improved.
We should require approval to an application for a forestry permit through the state in regards to a project of this size. They might just waive it off, and that's fine, that's up to them, but I think we should require it too.
Right. Do you have
Which
that?
forestry permit are you referring to? Through the
State forestry permit?
Like a forest cutting plan?
Yep.
So that's not a permit that's required for tree cutting, that's a permit that's required when you are undertaking forestry on your property and doing
It's
selective cutting?
Based on board feet, and I think,
Oh, are you talking about what the landowners are individually able to do each year?
I'm talking about, I believe it's the forestry plan, but it's based on board feet and requirements to the application. And they might, in all likelihood, they'll probably just waive it off, and I think, but I think if we're gonna be clearing,
That's a substantial amount of land to be clearing.
So
I
I'm
think
just
that there has
not,
to be some sort of permit associated with it, no?
I'm not, what's that?
If applicable.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if it's applicable, then it's a permit that would need to be obtained, but this is not a permit that in my 23 years I have ever heard of for any sort of development project that's tree clearing, unless there's a local municipal requirement that requires a permit specifically for tree cutting. I'm not aware of a state
Well, we'll ask the state.
Permit
and,
for-
Maybe we'll all learn
for
something.
a forestry permit.
Forestry plan.
Plan. I know that there's a forestry
Maybe
plan.
it's a
Right, so-
commercial forestry plan
Yeah,
or
so
commercial
typic-
cutting plan, but if you're gonna be taking that much down, I do believe the state has a board-foot requirement, which I'm sure you're certain to go over with 20-plus acres of clearing.
I think,
And if the
There
state
is a
waives it
plan.
off, the state waives
Yeah.
it off. If they come back with conditions, then we incorporate them into our approval or.
yeah.
And do we know the size of this battery energy storage facility?
Oh, gosh. So I know that whereas for the project originally there were 2 battery energy storage equipment areas, we're down to 1. The system was reduced from 5 megawatt AC to 4 megawatt AC. Also equivalent to the battery portion?
No, battery and again, my same
Okay,
concerns
so-
are gonna apply to this project as the prior project, in that this falls under a tier 3, which again is not allowed in a residential agricultural area. And regardless, it would require a special permit under the battery energy storage bylaws.
To clarify, so the solar system is 4 megawatts, the battery energy storage system is 5.
5.
Okay.
If I may, for
Yes.
the forestry concern that was identified, I think certainly we'd be open to a condition specifying that if there's a state forestry-related permit that's required for the project, that it need to be obtained.
Okay,
And provided to the
Yeah.
commission, the board.
very good.
And in regards to the A&R, could you point to, is the best going to be on the Harwich subdivision side, or is it going to be on the other?
It's going to be on the southern side, so.
The Harwich
Right,
side,
right,
yeah.
yeah, the Harwich side, the lot line would
Oh,
shift.
Hammond, is
North.
it Harwich or Hammond?
Hammond.
Hammond Street.
Oh,
Hammond
no.
Street, it's the Harwich Boggs area.
Yeah.
It's off Hammond
It's,
Street.
it's on the property that's subject to the zoning freeze.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is grandfathered in regards to that as stated by town council, as they already locked it in 2021.
Correct.
So I'm understanding.
Yeah,
Now,
it's
Mr. Glines, you had
2021 or
some concerns
2019.
over the whole pre-approved subdivision?
Andy Glines with Fuss and O'Neill again. I guess specifically regarding a previous comment that was discussed during a hearing regarding the applicability of the merger doctrine, which essentially would treat both parcels as one parcel. Although I'm not a lawyer, my understanding that is only applicable if one or both of the lots are non-conforming. And in this instance, since both the lots are conforming, it would be, it wouldn't be applicable. So I think that's where the applicant is moving forward with the A&R plan that basically makes that a moot point. And we'll certainly want to take a look at the draft A&R plan when the applicant has it prepared. Typically, Fuss and O'Neill doesn't review A&R plans for the town, but in this instance, being directly related to the project, we just want to make sure it's consistent with the rest of our review and comments. And otherwise, the rest of the memo consists of basically our input on waivers that were requested from the applicant, and then recommended conditions of approval.
Okay. Thank you.
Maybe we can deal with the A&R plan and finish this up in the same night. Would you have the A&R plan available by April 28th?
I can't say because it requires the property owner's coordination. So that's personally why we were kind of hoping to have an approval that then makes more sense for us to then proceed with an A&R plan versus putting an A&R plan ahead of the approval.
Right.
We'd be happy to address peer review costs even after the application is closed if this was conditioned.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the board? Whereas this is a public hearing, would anyone like to speak? Sure.
Thank you. My name is Catherine Harrelson. I'm with Community Land and Water Coalition, a Plymouth-based nonprofit organization. I have 7 copies of my comments here. These are similar in content to the comments we submitted to the Conservation Commission on this topic, so they're largely in substance the same.
If you could just hand them all to... Thank you. You could just pass them around, that's all, Sean.
Okay. Thank you very much for allowing me to comment. Like I said, these comments were made previously to the Carver Conservation Commission. I may have missed something here, but is this, what set of zoning bylaws is this project under in regards to solar?
Mr. Glines might be able to answer that more effectively than...
Andy Glines with Fuss & O'Neill. I'd have to double check and confirm the date, but I believe it's either the 2021 or 2022 zoning bylaws that were applicable when the property owner submitted and had a subdivision plan approved.
Okay. All right, I missed that.
But it was under the Harwich Road subdivision, is the most recent name, so I can certainly confirm that date, but hopefully with that, we'd be able to find the previous approval timeframe too.
Yeah, no, I definitely wasn't aware of that. The documents I've reviewed for these comments include the NOI application, the revised NOI application, I believe the most recent version of the site plans, and the 2024 Carver zoning bylaws, and also the MEPA certificate for the TMUD application. So my first comment was that this is not in compliance with the current Carver zoning bylaws under my reading of them. Section 290-3-6.4B2 clearly states clearing of natural vegetation should be limited to what is necessary for the construction, operation, and maintenance of large ground-mounted solar. No more than 30% of forested land up to a maximum of 5 acres per lot shall be deforested for any one large ground-mounted solar application. So I believe that the town of Carver is moving in the right direction when it comes to solar applications and trying to limit the amount of deforestation for solar projects such as these. My second comments are similar to the comment made to consult with DCR about this project. I'm very concerned about the amount of sort of pre-approval tree clearing that I believe that the landowner is conducting in regards to these solar projects. I can't confirm, but satellite imagery makes it look as though there's possibly been tree clearing conducted on this site. I can't confirm that or not, but if so, that should have been conducted under a forest cutting plan because this parcel is in Chapter 61A. And if so, that's a sort of misapplication of the Forest Cutting Act. The intent of the Forest Cutting Act is it requires the improvement, maintenance, and protection of forested lands for the purposes of conserving water, preventing floods, and soil erosion, improving the conditions for wildlife and recreation, protecting and improving air quality and water quality, and providing a continuing increasing supply of forest products. They're intended for the long-term management of forests as agroforestry, not as solar development. I contacted the Carver Conservation Commission, and there's no forest cutting plan on file for this. So I believe that the next step is to consult with DCR to see if they have, conducted any forestry on this parcel and if there's a forest management plan in place or not. And if so, I mean, what's really the intent of the client here? I've provided in my written comments, extensive sites all up and down this wildlife corridor along Federal Road that this landowner is doing forest cutting and site preparation for solar. I mean, there's clear skidder ruts on, 150 to hone
I
it.
just want to say that you do have 3.
Okay, so I'm going to map up. And then,
but I will let you finish up briefly if you could.
Okay, thank you. So please see my comments in regards to DCR, and I believe that there should be a consultation with them to see if there's been tree clearing under the forest, and what the appropriate measures are and what they believe should be the appropriate measures for the site under the forest cutting plan. And then the final comment is in regards to zoning, because they're clearly stating that this is one and the same parcel as the solar field above it for zoning purposes. But there's an anti-segmentation clause in MIPA, and this project is clearly within Phase C of the TMUD MIPA certificate for the Tohonet mixed-use development, in which this project was not a part of, but the solar field to the north was. So if they're saying that this is in common ownership, this is the same zoning, they're doing an A&R, and they don't want the setbacks, then this should have been part of the MIPA application that they got signed off on in 2022, and they should be required to go back to MIPA with a notice of project change, because this is clearly, this is definitely within the TMUD. It's definitely connected to that solar field above it, which was part of the TMUD, and they should be required to file a notice of project change with MIPA. So, thank you.
Thank you.
John, would you be able to determine if there were any site clearing done or the applicability of MIPA in regards to particular site?
I mean, I could do a site visit to go see if there has been any tree cutting recently.
I'm sure, I'm sure the satellite images will help you in regards to that.
Yeah,
But
I can
if you could get
certainly
in
do that.
contact with MIPA and see if this is, if where they stand in regards to this.
Sure, we can do that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I did ask you at the time when I did the site walk with you, what all of the, when that clearing had taken place, and you said you were going to get back to me about it. I was concerned that it wasn't being put on a cranberry bog, that it was being put in what looked like forest.
I apologize. Remind me what the discussion on the site visit was? I did not have a
It was
note that I was
just-
supposed to
it was
get back
just
to
you
you on
and I,
something. Yeah,
and
I remember
I
that.
was concerned that this project wasn't going on a cranberry bog.
Yes.
That it was.
In
that
the
there
treed
was a
area.
significant amount of tree clearing that was going to
Yes.
take place in order to do it.
I do remember that. Was there piece of information I thought I heard in the beginning that you were saying I
This
owed you?
just kind of ties into
Got it. Okay.
the concern of
I-
the forest.
I think your comment then is that the project area is pretty well forested now,
Right.
which raises your concern at the time of the site visit, as opposed to it being deforested for this project.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, there were some trees cut down. Remember we noticed that?
There was quite a pile of
Yeah.
trees.
Yeah. There were some.
And this is part of the Pine Barrens?
So yeah, I can take it item by item. So I'll start with the last one. This is not, and we had included a forestry report in the supplemental materials that we provided and had discussed at the last meeting. So certainly any treed area, any forested area provides habitat. This is not a high-quality Pine Barrens habitat. This high-quality Pine Barrens habitat in this area has been mapped by Natural Heritage, and when projects are proposed therein, they're mitigated. This area contains approximately 16 acres of dead, standing red pine from a prior pest infestation. So yes, there's habitat, and certainly we're not saying that there's not. The applicants endeavored to minimize the cutting while still facilitating the project, pulling cutting out of the buffer zone, combining sites, what was previously called sites 2 and 3, to minimize the overall tree cutting, As to the question for cranberry bogs and putting them on cranberry bogs, yes, that is an option. For this project, there is potentially future cranberry, not for this project, but a separate cranberry bog project. There are other cranberry bog projects the board has seen, but this project is proposed where it is based on, the available land use and the interconnection. And as with, most development, it does come with tree clearing proposed.
How many acres of pine barrens did you say?
There are no pine barrens.
Well, you said
In
there's
this
no
habitat.
high-quality pine
There's no
barrens.
I would say there's no pine barrens based on the character of the trees. That's what the forestry report indicated. It's a bit beyond my arena, and so I'm relying on the forestry
Well, no,
report.
They
But the tree,
specified high-quality pine barrens. They
Yep.
didn't say there's no pine barrens. That's
Yep.
not what the report said.
okay, so is your question, how many are being cleared? How many acres?
Yes.
Okay, so the acreage is, did I say 31.3 earlier?
Yeah, there's about 28 within the array.
20, yeah, so
One and
I'm
a
sorry,
half.
29 and a half acres of tree cutting.
Of which 16 was the infestation area. So we tried
Right.
to concentrate as much as we could in that area, knowing that in the long run, that was unlikely to be sustaining a healthy ecosystem.
Right. I bring it up because even our previous town planner identified it as pine barrens, so it does raise concern as they are protected under the state, I believe, so.
Yeah, I mean, we refer to the mapping where's priority habitats and things like that, so we think we're clear on those.
Yeah, I guess I would call this a colloquial pine barrens. Like this whole south coast region, including as you drive down Route 3A Route 3 to the Cape, like it's pine barrens, right? It's pines and scrub oaks, and then the quality of that forest.
There's only 2 real pine barrens on the east coast, and big portion of it is here in Plymouth and Carver, and the rest is in New Jersey, so.
Correct, and that's why there has been such a focus on it throughout this area by the state on mapping those areas.
Because it seems like when I looked at the maps, it ended at the property line, and
Which ended at the property line?
the identified section of pine barrens.
Which maps I'm sorry, I'm not familiar
I
with
was
what
looking
maps
at
you're
the
talking.
state map, so it might not be something you're
Oh,
familiar with.
the priority habitat mapping?
I maybe, but it's been a couple weeks.
Okay, or, yeah, I mean, there's
You
also
guys got a
forest
lot
community
going on
type
here.
mapping.
Trying to keep up with everything,
Yeah.
so.
Are there other items from the comments that the board would like me to address?
I don't have any other comments. Does anyone else have any comments?
And I meant from the comments that were made by the public as well.
Oh, very good.
If it's helpful for background, I can address them.
I am concerned about, the amount of trees that are being clear cut for this project, and do appreciate the comment that was brought forward. It, is in line with Mr. Shea's comment about whether or not that a plan is necessary or required to be filed for this type
Yes.
of clearing.
I don't want to mischaracterize the comments. Obviously, I can't speak for the commenter. I heard the comments as speaking to past alleged landowner practices in regard to the Forest Cutting Act, which is different than a state tree cutting permit for tree clearing here.
I don't know what is required. I just find it hard to believe that anyone could clear cut, almost 30 acres without some sort of approval process.
Yeah, it's typically at the municipal level, similar for large subdivisions and things like that. I would say for the board's information, obviously I can't speak to landowner practices. There's the 16 acres of dead red pine. Whatever
And who
was
determined
out
that
there.
that was dead?
The forester went out
Okay.
and looked at it and evaluated, so that's summarized in his
Okay.
report, and there's an exhibit that goes along with it.
Yeah.
Whether or not trees were cut or trees were dead didn't impact the project design.
Okay.
The project was designed as if the area was a forested 29 and a half acre area. So it's not as if we took out the 16 acres of dead area and considered that somehow differently. So the impacts that are being reported and the design that was done considers it a forested area. So whether or not tree cutting occurred before the
There have
project
been
within
some-
these wooded
and I think
areas.
We commented on that when we were walking through.
Yeah, I don't recall that, but I may not have
Not the
been.
only person.
I definitely feel that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I mean, that's,
Right, for
It's
the
just-
design purposes and for this project, it's considered a wooded site as represented on the plans.
no, I understand that. I'm just saying something had been, already conducted there for some clearing. Whether or not it was for other reasons or for this, for this project, I don't know.
Yeah.
But trees were cut, yeah.
Yeah, And-
Sorry, please, go ahead.
no, please.
I don't know where we're at, but I think we need to give our town planner a little time to check with MIPA and make sure this doesn't fall under their jurisdiction as well.
As far as MIPA goes, I mean, it's triggered by a state permit. This is a local permit. If we have to go to MIPA, we have to go to MIPA, but I'm not quite sure why it would be relevant. It doesn't affect the planning board's ability to issue an approval. In fact, it's kind of irrelevant to the planning board in many respects. I mean, it's fine if we want to check, I'm just not quite sure what the outcome would be.
I'm not sure either, but because we've dealt with urban renewal plans in this town, MIPA falls heavily in regards to that, so I'm not gonna exclude them from a process that maybe they should or shouldn't be involved in.
Yep, and as Greg had said, if it needs to go to MIPA, it will go to MIPA as part of that. If a MIPA process happens, and you may have seen it before when projects file with MIPA in Carver, the Planning Board, the Conservation Commission, the Board of Health, other town entities are provided a copy of the MIPA filing, so
Very good.
there's
Sean,
opportunity
could
for
you
input.
comment on that?
Yeah, in past projects I've been a part of, we've done the MIPA filing outside of the municipal stuff. To the tree cutting, I'm not sure. I've done projects of larger tree cutting than this. We haven't had a forestry permit, but that's something I'd have to look up. I
Okay,
haven't ever seen anything like that, but.
okay. Very good. Well, we definitely want to check into that if the opportunity is available to us to do that. Would this one require a waiver as well?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Do we have any other questions?
No, I just want to make sure Community Land and Water Coalition's printed statements added into the minutes.
Okay, very good.
Madam Chair, I'm not sure I understand. If we have a draft decision that's been circulated, I understand there's interest in looking into a couple items. Is there anything that requires the public hearing to continue to be open?
I think it should.
You think so? Yes.
Somebody showed up tonight.
Mhm.
So if nobody had showed up, maybe, but
Right,
I certainly feel that including the public in anything that goes on that they have a right to be included in is important.
okay, fair enough. We will keep it open, yeah. As to waiver?
Yes, you can keep it open. The applicant will need to sign a waiver to do that.
Could we have a minute, please?
Sure.
Now, I will state that whether we close the public hearing or not, it is by the will of the board if people from the public are heard. So
I would agree.
there's nothing to stop us from.
Right.
And once we close this, I believe close the public hearing, I think we're on a 120-day clock, but I might be wrong on that too. No. What is it?
65 days after
standing the
65
project.
days.
So,
We'd appreciate the board's consideration to close the hearing if that would lead, if that can be done. And we believe that the items that are requested to be investigated could be worked into a condition of approval that could be
So you'd
looked
like
at.
us to move forward with a decision tonight? Is that what you're
Or just
saying?
close.
I'm requesting that you close the hearing,
Okay. And then,
and then in the next meeting, you would have more information, you could potentially
Okay.
vote.
all right,
If, I mean, that's what we request of the board.
okay, very good. Do I get a motion? We do have substantial information to review still.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
it is up to the board whether they want to close the public hearing. It's
Right.
just the continuance that we would
Okay.
need the waiver for.
very good.
Continuance in what sense?
For the forestry plan and MIPA, and for us to look into that.
If we continue it beyond what date?
The state. Okay.
Because we can vote right now, I'll tell you where that, if we have to. I mean, there's nothing stopping us from voting right this minute. I mean, if we don't have a waiver to continue, we can go that route.
That is true, that is true.
Do we have a waiver?
Not signed
No.
yet, I have one right here.
We do
So
not.
it's up to the applicant.
No. So let the applicant decide, and then we can move forward from that point.
Okay,
So do I understand the board's position is that,
to keep the public hearing open, it appears.
Well, it's not necessarily a public hearing, it's the whole, it's all of it.
it's the public hearing?
No, he's asking us to
Right,
close.
but I believe Sean's saying that without a continuance, we should resolve the matter this evening.
Yeah, we'd like a time waiver to continue the hearing to the next, it's up to the board whether they close the public hearing or not.
Mhm.
I'm talking about the entire project hearing.
And more or less, we're on the deadline for this evening in regards to the entirety of the project. So, that's really up to the board to decide, because we can close the public hearing, but regardless, without a waiver from the applicant, we have to decide on this evening.
Right. I think what they're expecting us to do is close the public hearing, and then they would execute the waiver.
Correct.
Request the
That was
waiver.
our, yeah.
That was our request of the
Yes,
board.
yeah.
We don't think there's any information, you're certainly not asking for plan revisions from us at this point. You're asking to review a few items that would presumably be worked into a condition of approval for then you to vote. I'm not quite sure the benefit of keeping, every time we keep the hearing open, if we lose a member, it affects our ability to get a vote. For instance, if Mr. Shea is unavailable at the next meeting, I know you have a one-meeting excusal, but that factors heavily into our decision with a
Understood.
supermajority requirement. So to the extent there's not additional information needed from the applicant, we would just we would request the board close the hearing so that we can then, you can make a decision on April 28th. We have no problem with that.
Understood, thank you. So now is for the board to decide whether or not we want to close the public hearing.
I could make a motion to close the public hearing, and then we can vote.
Or we could make a motion to close the public hearing and continue the meeting until the 20th.
Well, there's special permit and site plan review to be continued
Right.
to the 28th, yes.
Presuming they execute the waiver.
I can say if the board closes the hearing, we have no problem with a waiver for the decision.
Okay.
That's no problem. I just, again, if we close the hearing, then the expectation would be on April 28th, there's a vote and a decision will be issued one way or another.
Yes.
If we continue it again,
I
I
understand.
don't understand
Right.
I'm not quite sure what we have to do in the meantime.
No, I understand. So can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on Wareham Street Solar 2 LLC till April 1.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sordillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
Thank you.
So now the matter at hand is
Thank you.
going to be the waiver.
Yeah, be happy to grant the waiver on any decision is, yeah.
So if there are no other matters on behalf of the board to discuss on this, we need to get a motion to continue.
I'll make a motion to continue the special permit and site plan till April 28, 2026, 7 PM, Carver Town Hall, Wyndham.
I'll second that. Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sordillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, is it possible to have the HVAC system turned off?
I tried to do that. I thought I was successful, but I was not.
Oh, wow. Are there any remedial actions that we take?
I would assume that the minute taker is not going to be very happy with us.
Decision making.
Next on the agenda this evening, we have Weather Vane at Silver Street LLC requesting a special permit and site plan review, 7 and 9 Silver Street in Carver, Mass. Assessors map 67, lots 4-3 and 4-F in the residential agricultural zoning district to construct 4 new triplex residential townhouses consisting of 12 total units. Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
How are you?
Excellent. Before we start, shall we put up the board?
If you could just announce yourself. I'm sorry, Mr. Secretary.
My name is Jeffrey Toccio from DTM Law, and with me is Ms. Taylor Corsano from Crocker Design Group. Jim Bristol of Weather Vane is behind me, I think over to my left. Thank you very much. And my question was, would you like us to put the boards up? You folks have seen them, and I think we're down to some specific questions that we were asked to address at the last meeting. What's your
I
preference?
don't think it's necessary unless anyone else on the board. No, we're good.
Okay, great. Good evening. We are here since the last meeting. We made supplemental filing on the, looks like the 19th, and that was something that was addressed from Crocker Design Group. We believe that that pretty much follows rounding out all of responses to Fuss and O'Neill's questions. I believe that we made various submissions, whether it was from the fire department, et cetera, last time, that we had just a few open issues that remained. There's a summary of the overall waiver requests in the 19th document, and specifically one of the issues that Connie brought up last time had to do with the extent of the waivers that were requested. And specifically, what we did was we went back in. If you take a look at the 19th letter, if you look at it looks like the third bullet point, we did add, the question was with respect to the natural buffer that comes off of the property line. You'll remember that we had a fence that was proposed, but we hadn't asked specifically for any parameters with respect to what those numbers would be. Taylor had estimated at the time, we're sitting here, we were like, oh, it's probably 8 feet at its closest point. And she went back in, and we've actually shown it on the plan. It winds up being 10 feet. And we actually request that as, is it the second one? Yes, it is. To retain 10 feet of natural vegetation between the proposed 6-foot tall stockade fence located along the property line and the proposed dwellings. And then we go on, the patios will be at grade, et cetera. So we'll wind up with a combination of some plantings, also the 6-foot fence, which will be there to satisfy the the buffering requirements, and that is within the board's discretion to be able to grant those waivers. Okay. I believe that that was the only thing that we had omitted. I think we've restated the requested waivers in this letter, and with that, if Andy's got anything else that's outstanding, I think otherwise, I think that concludes our presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Just a quick question.
Yes.
You're going to put the fence on the property line?
It's going to be 1 foot off of the property line.
Right.
Yep.
And then the next 10 feet is going to be
The next-
all natural.
The next 9 feet will be the natural as it exists today, which we know is a mix of some of that slope, which is in there.
Yep, overgrowth, and then we'll try and maintain as many trees that are left along the property line as we can, installing the fence.
And then we also have those additional plantings within.
Yeah, we do have arborvitaes kind of scattered throughout. I mean, they're kind of set a little bit lower because we have the berm that sits on with the fence.
So if you remember when we're out there, because of the historic activities, it's got that slope which cuts down. It's about 4 or 5 feet. So that's what we deal with as the natural condition. So we would propose to put the fence in 1 foot off the property line to allow for access on the backside. There are trees up in that area, so there'll be some selective, trimming to get that fence in. And then otherwise, everything goes natural from there with the addition of the additional like arborvitae. So that should start to grow in. The closest point is 10.
Yep.
And it goes as thick as?
I don't know what it goes as thick as, but it does probably spread out to maybe like 15 feet in some areas as you kind of get lower.
And that's listed as the proposed tree line?
Correct.
So the minimum will be 10 feet.
Correct.
With 9 feet of vegetative buffer.
Inboard of the fence.
All right.
Yes.
If I
Yes.
Andy Glines with Fuss and O'Neill. The town planner, Sean, has prepared a draft decision letter. Fuss and O'Neill has reviewed that draft decision letter. We did just have 2 recommended revisions based on what the applicant discussed this evening. I was just confirming with Sean, need to just adjust that sentence slightly. We agree with what the applicant is proposing to have the property line, the proposed 6-foot tall stockade fence 1 foot from the property line, and then 9 feet of natural vegetation, essentially ensuring that 10 total feet of buffer. And so Sean's making that adjustment now just to make sure that that's worded clearly. And our other item was just removing a condition that Fuss and O'Neill carried over from the original submission by this applicant, where they were at the time proposing 3-bedroom units, which is no longer the case. So we struck that condition out from the memo, as the applicant's just proposing 1-bedroom units at this time.
And again, no filling, seeding, or loaming of the open space. The wetland meadows to remain in its natural state.
Yes.
Yes. I'm sorry.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
That the open space, the wetland meadow, is to remain in its natural state. It's not to be filled, seeded, or loamed.
Yeah. We should emphasize that that's removed. Previously, what it's referring to is it had some seeding, and that's been removed from the plan set.
And that the road will remain a private road.
Yes.
I thought we agreed to no dumpsters.
Correct. No dumpsters, trash service shall be contracted by the individual units.
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
don't know if I asked this before, but did the fire department require that they were going to put in hydrant?
Yes, they asked us to put in, so in Carver, you guys have dry lines. where you pump in with water. So we coordinated with them. They wanted, I believe it was 2 hydrants with the line located throughout the site, and they commented that they were okay with the plans that we proposed.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And they approved the clearance in the 8.5-foot clearance in the garage, or do they require it?
On the garage, the condition was that we would
Go to building.
go to building, and then if it needed to be moved, it would be expanded out, but we wouldn't do that at this point.
On the garage, there's a little garage off to the side by the entrance. It only has an 8.5-foot clearance. Should the fire department require its standard, I think it's 10 or 12. Whatever,
under
if the
building
department,
permits, 10.
the fire department should approve it. It's because it's under what the fire department would normally require.
And that's adjacent to Unit 12. Correct.
Is it 12?
I thought it was 12.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yes, Sean, it's next, so it's the distance between the detached garage and the edge of Unit 12.
And we also require monitoring light. I didn't notice that in there.
It's in the description, I think.
It was? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the well is at 12.
All right.
Great.
Oh yeah, no, number 5 is the road should remain private. So very good. Although I do believe we offered that, should they wish, impervious surface walking paths could be provided through the open space area, should they so wish. Like if down the line you decide you want to put in walking paths,
It would be allowed?
yeah, it should be allowed, yes.
Okay.
We're just looking to make sure that that remains more or less in its natural state and not filled and become a putting green.
So do you mean pervious or impervious?
I mean pervious. Thank
Gotcha.
you.
Okay, yep, no problem.
Any other questions or comments from the board? All set? No other questions from Mr. Glines?
Last one, are we gonna allow a little 6-inch passage to the bottom of the fence for wildlife or not?
That would probably be a good idea. We've done that for most, haven't we?
Yep, we're indifferent, yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
So, well, I'm in favor of it,
I'm in favor.
just because
absolutely.
of the extensive level of
Right.
wildlife habitat that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put Sean to work on something about that for the commission.
Yeah.
Do it right now.
All right.
Very good. Seeing no other questions, can I get a motion?
Do we need to
Motion to
read?
close the public hearing, or?
Oh, yeah.
Looking for a
Oh,
motion
it's a
to-
public hearing, that's right, we
Yeah.
continued it.
I'll
Would
make a
anybody,
motion to-
well, I haven't opened it
Yeah.
yet. Anyone here on behalf of the public like to speak on this? Seeing none, close the public hearing.
Okay, I'll make a motion to post public hearing on site plan review special permit 7 and 9 Silver Street.
I will second that.
Mr. Lake?
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Stillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye. There are no other questions or comments. Get a motion to approve?
I will make a motion to approve the special permit and site plan review for Weather Vane at Silver Street LLC.
And I'll second that.
No, the other thing I think we mentioned was no pile drivers. I know they said they're not going to use them, but I don't know if we should include that in the decision as well.
We did discuss
You're
that.
not gonna use pile drivers, not gonna use heavy-duty compacting, so,
Nope.
all right. I can take it as, I believe 'em when they say it, and it's all video recorded, so.
Whatever you want, so if you want to add it, you can.
If you want to add it, we don't, that's fine.
I think we should.
Do we have to reopen?
Yeah.
No.
No, we're in discussion right now.
No pile drivers.
No pile drivers,
Yeah.
yes.
Some of the neighbors had concerns in regards
Yes.
to,
Vibrations.
their houses or wells or,
So,
Berman.
Mr. Shea, you made a motion to approve?
I did
And I
make,
seconded it.
yeah.
All right, very good.
So should we, are we gonna, it's a lot, are we gonna read this, or, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes Mr. Bott would read it, and sometimes he wouldn't.
Sean would prefer not to read it.
I can certainly
Yeah.
understand, it's exceptionally long.
I have read it.
I've read it and I
Yeah.
agree to the conditions.
Yes, yeah. And everyone's had the opportunity, I think, to read it. So there is a motion to approve. Mr. Lake? Abstain?
Abstain.
Okay.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Stillo says aye.
Marilyn Williams says aye.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, have a good night.
It's good to see Mr. Lewis here. Congratulations to the town of Carver.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy.
Next on the agenda this evening, there's the public hearing, which I believe was continued, for John Gillis requesting a special permit pursuant to Section 290-2-2.3 of the Carver zoning bylaw on property located at 92 North Main Street, Carver, Mass. Assessors Map 18, Lot 7-0-R, to operate a food truck, fast food, or drive-in restaurant in the Village Business District.
Hello again.
Good evening.
I'm seeking approval for a special permit to own and to operate my food truck at 92 North Main Street in Carver. That's pretty much all I have. I mean, I'm just here fulfilling the conditions that were asked by me and
Yes.
hoping that we can proceed.
Very good, thank you. Yes, we do have a decision here that was prepared by Sean that I believe it encompasses everything that was discussed at the last
Almost, yeah,
meeting.
pretty
Yeah.
much, pretty close.
Yeah.
Trash barrel on site, which would go along with the garbage created, must be removed. A garbage barrel on site, like we required for Dave's, so that people eating there have a public or accessible trash barrel. I think
Yeah.
that one.
Okay.
And
If you could just state that again, Connie, so that
Oh.
Sean can hear that.
the
Yeah, condition number 6.
it's kind of condition number 6.
It's not exactly,
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
add it to condition
Yeah.
number 6.
It's actually in the drawing too, I believe.
I thought it was,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was. Trash barrel on site. And then, I just want to make sure we're clear. Did you provide your DBA with,
So we don't have to, so the DBA is actually under getting my, the business.
We don't.
We
yeah.
don't do it under myself. We do it under
We
getting my
opened a
belly.
LLC, so we don't do it, we don't have a
well, we're
dual
giving
business.
the special permit to your business.
Okay,
but he doesn't need a DBA if it's.
if it's under the business.
Filed LLC with the Commonwealth.
Oh, is it, okay, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, Northborough Recovery Services LLC?
No, I
That-
think that's the.
That's the owner of
That's the owner of the land,
His-
yeah.
His business is registered with the.
So I've,
Commonwealth.
yeah, I've been essentially paying a lease since January
Right.
to operate on the property.
So John Gillis is
That's me.
your DBA, is who you're doing business as?
Well,
Or
I'm
is
doing
it-
business as Get In My Belly.
Pardon?
As Get In My Belly,
Get in my belly.
Get my belly.
LLC.
He is Mr. Gillis, and that's the name of his company.
Yeah, no, I know, but I didn't see it anywhere
Oh,
on here, so, and you've provided that to the town?
Yeah, they have everything. They have the business
Okay.
certificate, everything you need.
So, all right, I'm fine with this. I'd like to see Get In My Belly listed.
It's a good idea.
under.
Well, I think the reason why, and this, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, is because that's the property owner that's listed there? Do we?
At the top of the document?
Yeah.
Yeah, the applicant is John Gillis, which is him, and then the owner is Northborough Recovery Services LLC.
Right.
Get In My Belly wasn't the applicant for it, so it wasn't added to the decision. We
Okay.
can certainly add it to the decision and say only Get In My Belly can be.
Yes, I would
Yeah.
sort of, that
That
would,
would make sense, yeah.
because it kind of limits the transferability,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want this to be transferable in any,
Right.
if somebody else wants to do it, they can come along. Mr. Gillis has put in his hard work and
Yeah,
done a good job at it, so.
very good.
Thank
I'm
you.
hoping you're very successful.
Yes, I
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much.
Well, if no one else has any comments or questions from the board, then motion to approve?
I will motion to approve.
Oh, wait, we still have this as a public hearing,
It is.
so, yes, sorry about that. If there's anyone here that would like to speak that's in the audience? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on special permit 92 North Main Street.
And I'll second that.
Sorry.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Helen Sodillo says that.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye. Then a motion to approve?
I move to approve Mr. Gillis's Get In My Belly special permit for 92 North Main Street and operation of a food truck.
Second. No, second.
Second.
Go ahead.
Mr. Lee?
Aye. Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Helen Sodillo says that.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
Awesome.
Thank you. Best
Thank
of
you.
luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have other business, which is Tremont Street Solar One LLC, requesting a special permit and site plan review, 73 Tremont Street in Carver. I believe we have the draft discussion, draft decision to discuss. Yes.
What's the size of the battery energy storage system on this one?
Hi, this is Brandon Smith, New Leaf Energy. This is a 5 megawatt, 4-hour battery.
So that requires variance from the ZBA, correct? It's not allowed in the residential agricultural zone. Right?
Andy Glines, Fuss and O'Neill. Fortunately, I'm not prepared to answer that at the moment. I can certainly look into it.
Understandable, no, but, I mean, this is what we've run into all night long. Is that something that could be conditioned, or how's this work? What's the deal on that? No, I'm not asking you. I'm pretty sure it's a ZBA issue. Maybe it's not. It's not in our usage chart.
We could definitely condition an approval to get ZBA approval on a variance. That's something we could do. Normally, in past practices, I like to get ZBA's approval first.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Please.
Greg Sampson with Sullivan Worcester. If you were to word something along the lines of get a determination from the town's zoning enforcement officer as to the applicability of the use and get a variance. Can I just?
See, I understand.
I know, but I'm just trying to put out a workable solution and get a variance if requested. But you can't, it can't be reasonable to expect us to get a variance if the person in charge of interpreting the zoning bylaw is saying we don't need one. So if the building inspector is saying we don't need a variance, then that decision puts us in an impossible position.
Well,
but
He doesn't interpret the bylaws, we interpret the bylaws. He
I disagree with you,
interprets the necessary
respectfully.
requirements for a permit or what is approved under our bylaws.
It's a point of disagreement.
I did see it when she's, and I went over it
Did we
earlier.
not approve this project at our last meeting?
We've voted to close the hearing, and we've had the draft decision was
Yeah, I thought
drafted.
we were just discussing that.
And the only open issue was, to our knowledge, was the plantings and whether it was going to be a requirement that could be waived
Right.
or a requirement that could be determined at a later date.
That's what I thought.
Well,
yeah.
no, the BESS was always on the table. We were waiting for a legal opinion on it. And although, according to this legal opinion, which is clearly wrong,
But it was drafted by our
I'm just-
council.
yeah, but I'm just gonna say it. The building inspector shall institute and take all such action to enforce full compliance with all provisions of the bylaw and of permits and variances issued. This is an enforcement issue. This isn't an interpretation issue. We interpret the bylaws, and I think the bylaws clearly state that the best facilities are clearly defined under the best bylaws, and they're approved by the Attorney General, and they're approved as written. It also notes nowhere does it state that the building inspector gets to interpret our bylaws. He interprets what's necessary for what's been permitted and what's been allowed under by right approved in our written bylaws. We interpret the bylaws, we decide, and the plain text language identifies and defines what each of these tiers of battery systems are and the requirements. It is also not allowed in a residential agricultural zone to put in a tier 3. So we're up into a problem here. Also, it states that the particular lawsuit that she stated is one where the permitting authority had approved it, and various other people in the neighborhood, neighbors or abutters, appealed it. And the court found that the permitting authority had the right to permit this. They had the right to permit. That's specifically the one that she did here. I know Sean has something to say too, but our bylaws are clear. They're clear and separate. They weren't included under the large-scale solar battery ground-mounted developments. They were separate and they were specific to this because we saw what was coming down the road. We can't be held liable for anything that any opinion that's offered at town meeting, because God knows I've offered enough of them, and I've never held anybody responsible for their opinions at town meeting. That's not a legally binding action. It doesn't even matter if our interim town planner at the time said it. I'd rather not disparage anybody at this particular time, so I will stop what I'm saying at this point before my emotions get the better of me in regards to statements made prior.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sean does have something to say.
I just want to reiterate that it's been proven multiple times in the courts that a BESS system can be an accessory use to the solar arrays. They've proven it time and time again. This is how they vote. And then if you had read Amy Quessel's email, at the end of it, it does say that at the time of the vote in town meeting, the town planner at the time said that this would not be...
Yeah, I wrote the law. I know what the law said.
But the townsfolk
the
voted.
town know that we are not beholden to the opinions of one man at town meeting.
Connie, please let him finish.
I'm sorry, I appreciate
So
that.
the townspeople voted on this bylaw under the understanding that it did not apply to accessory use best systems. I'm just putting that out there. This is what
That's
town
fine.
council said. I just want the facts out there. I'm not giving out
No,
opinions.
I'm
These
giving
are
you the
just
same
facts.
facts, that we cannot be held by the statements or opinions of one person. I was the one that helped write this bylaw. I know what this bylaw is meant to address, and it was meant to address the future coming of battery energy storage systems after we got one in the center of town here. It was meant to apply to all of them, and the opinion of one person, despite who the interim town planner was at the time, and his opinion is in question, to my opinion. The plain text of the language is what the town approved and the town voted on. The town read that. The warrant article is what they approved, not the opinion of an interim town planner, and it was subsequently approved through the Attorney General as written without the opinion of our interim town planner. It was approved as such as a standalone battery energy storage system. It clearly identifies what the systems are, where they're allowed, where they're not allowed, and the safety measures which are allowed by the state in order to protect the health, safety, welfare of not only the people of this town, but our environment, our water, and everything else. These are going in very sensitive areas, and it's not currently in our usage chart. It's not allowed in this. And now I don't necessarily agree with that, but it is what the town voted for. It's not what I'm just making up. It's legal text, word for word. It's plain written language of the bylaw, and it clearly does not give allowances for if it's connected to a solar system or if it's part of some photovoltaic system. It says this is what a battery energy storage system is, and this is how we define it. And we defined it, and this is particularly a tier 3. I don't think that the town was voting to allow systems like we got in the center of town all over the town. I think this was the town's avenue to take a reasonable amount of control over it, and the Attorney General found that it was reasonable, and clearly the town folks that approved it found it reasonable as well. I think we are the ones that interpret it, whether it is part of this, and that is our decision, and that's to weigh on us whether the battery energy storage system as a standalone bylaw encompasses everything, because there's no exceptions except for household size ones, which is reasonable if somebody wants to put one in their garage, but it clearly defines this is a tier 3, and it's important, I think, that we acknowledge that the plain written text of the bylaw is what it is. So where do we go from here? I can see that the board can override it, but like Amy Questle also says, that is to be the norm from here in. If you allow it now, you allow it forever. It says there's a process, an appeal to the ZBA if somebody disagrees. If no appeal is filed, that determination is final unless the building inspector alters the determination based on new information.
That appeal process is for the determination of the building commissioner. So that would be his.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the authority to determine or interpret the bylaws. He only has the authority
Town
to...
council disagrees.
Yeah, but nowhere in our bylaws does it give him the power. It says enforcement.
Yeah, it's more of a...
It's strictly enforcement of permits and variances issued.
I can't hear what you're saying.
I'm sorry.
It's strictly enforcement, as it says right here, of permits and variances issued. That is what his power and authority is specific to.
Yeah, I think it's more of a fact of the continuing court cases. through the state of Massachusetts that's allowing this as an accessory use to.
It is
solar.
allowed an accessory use, and we're allowed to set reasonable, we're allowed to set reasonable requirements to it, which this town did. Those requirements are reasonable. They were discussed, there were plenty of cranberry growers in the room, in the room. We discussed it with them. There was give and take on a lot of things. But all in all, we all came to the agreement. We all put this forward to the town, and it's plain text. It is what it is. And this is a battery energy storage system of tier 3, the largest size there is that we quantify. And I think it's important to protect our people, our environment, and our town. I think it applies to this. And unless a special permit is approved as required under the battery energy storage system, I can't approve it. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think it's within our power to approve something without the special permit that's required for it, just like a special permit is required for the large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic systems.
Madam Chair, may I just respond?
Yes, please.
I know you mentioned the Attorney General's approval. I would just like to highlight the language in the approval says, if Articles 28 and 29 are used to deny a BESS in related structures such as if Articles 28 and 29 are used to deny a BESS or otherwise applied in a way that make it impractical or uneconomic to build solar energy systems and related structures, such as structures that facilitate the collection of solar energy, such application would run a serious risk of violating Chapter 40A, Section 3. So there's a note of caution
We're not
in the
using
approval.
it because nobody applied for it. A special permit has to be applied for before it can be used for anything, and nobody's applied for it. Nobody's gone through the process for it. It needs to be done. I'm willing to wait for it to be done, and I think we're going to have to figure out how to work with. It's not allowed in a residential agricultural area because it's. I'm not here to shut anything down. I want to see these things go forward. It's what pays for our schools. It pays for our new school building. It pays for a variety of things around this town. That's what these things do. Are they overrated? I believe they are overrated, but I'm not here to stop any of them. I've approved everyone that came in front of us. I'm saying a special permit is required for battery energy storage system of this size, and it's not being used to stop it. There's nothing unreasonable about it. The Attorney General reviewed it, found it reasonable, and as did people that put it together and the people of the town. So, and I'm willing to wait for them to apply for a special permit so we can review it under the battery energy storage system bylaws. From what I've read, it'll pass. But the problem is that if we don't do it, then that becomes the standard. And then I think it's negligence on our part not to take systems of these size, which create far different safety hazards than a solar array, into consideration.
Sean, any comments?
No, I have no further comments. Since the public hearing is closed, correct?
Yes.
You could go around and ask the board members how they feel about the project and stuff, and then see where what the applicant wants to do.
Okay.
Whether they want to continue it or whatever.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Glines, do you have any comments on the battery storage?
Andy Glines with Fuss & O'Neill. Essentially, on this matter, Fuss & O'Neill is deferring to the town to make determination on applicability. Fuss & O'Neill's certainly willing and able to complete a more thorough review or additional reviews of the project as it relates to the battery energy storage system bylaw section. If would need to. But currently, based on our previous direction for this particular project that was given by the interim town planner and building official, our memo currently doesn't include recommended conditions regarding the battery energy storage system bylaw.
Very good.
Would you feel that it is more or less in alignment with it?
All
right, I won't put you on the spot because that's inappropriate. You're a professional and you need to stick to.
If the board would like us to provide an opinion to that effect, I'm happy to do so in writing as a condition, or if the board wanted to include a condition that Fuss and O'Neill reviews a building permit submission in regards to the battery energy storage bylaw section, we could work with the building official at that, submission timeline.
Okay.
Can we waive the requirements of a special permit?
I don't know the zoning bylaw good enough to give you a good answer for that. I would have to look back at it. If there's a section where you can waive special permits, I know in previous towns I've worked for there was, so we could just waive it that way. But
Because a special permit requires a public hearing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, if Andy addresses it on this specific case, I'd be willing to waive the special permit requirements if he addresses it under the best, which apparently hasn't been done yet. And I don't know how we're gonna figure out over the not allowed under our charts, under our usage. Because it specifically says no, it doesn't say special permit.
I just want to reiterate again, the town council has advised that it's not a special permit, that it's a decision for the building commissioner.
Okay.
And if I could also just add, the draft decision does include many conditions that were recommended that are specific to the BES, including submittals under the fire department code and submittals at the time of building permit. So if the condition was that those be reviewed at that time, that's completely reasonable.
Right.
So I don't want to suggest it wasn't addressed in the decision.
Very good.
I'm just concerned that the hazards are such different from large-scale solar that a proper review under the best bylaws would be appropriate, but that's it's up to the board to decide. I don't feel that I can approve the battery energy storage system, not only because it's not allowed in the residential agricultural district, but because it hasn't been properly vetted through our engineering.
If I may, I will note that any battery energy storage project will need to submit material to the fire department regardless. And so this project will, be working with the fire department to provide hazard mitigation, emergency response plan, everything that required per the state fire code. So it's not, just because it's not reviewed under this bylaw doesn't mean that it's not going to be fully compliant with the state code.
Right.
And I would also like to just add that as the applicant, we would appreciate if the board would take a straw vote, just given that it seems like we are at sort of an impasse with town council versus Mr. Shea. We'd just be interested to see how the rest of the board is feeling.
Understood.
And we have yet to address the screening issue, which I won't belabor the point.
Well, we'll make that easy. We're fine either way on the screening. Like if it wants to be, we don't think it's necessary, so that's why we said all along, we'd rather not have it as a requirement and then build it if it's needed. I think that's easier to do as a minor modification. Whereas if it's required and then you decide you don't want to build it, we want specific language that makes it clear that we don't have to open up the public hearing
No, if
for you
we
to waive
require
it.
it and it's not used, it's a minor modification. If we don't require it and we add it, it's a public hearing. At least that's the way it was explained to us last meeting.
So I had that flipped in my head. So again, we're fine as if, whatever works so that we don't have to come back for a public hearing just to waive or grant
I
it.
think it's just, the public hearing is a lot to put anybody through.
Yeah, I don't, it just says at a public meeting as an administrative item. She incorporated that the planning board reserves the right to be determined at a public meeting as an administrative item to request screening along Tremont Street as shown in the attached visual screening option plan following the completion of the canal canopy solar array. She reserved that right in the decision.
Wasn't there a reason for that, just to make sure we had some way to compel it if we needed it?
Correct, yes. And it was better for us to reserve it than it was to say they could apply for a minor modification because there's no guarantee that we would have, allowed that. I'm hoping the fans shut down, but I would like to ask the rest of the board their thoughts on the special permit for the bedding storage. I understand Mr. Shea's concerns, but it's kind of hard to take that stance when I see the correspondence from our town council.
I see it listed as a waiver, I don't see it listed otherwise.
What's that?
Where were you reading that from?
Page 11, condition 4C.
4C?
Oh, it's 11 on our draft.
Well, we could simply flip it. And then screening is important. I think this is going to be a large facility. They're putting, it's to the north of the road, and we'll be facing south, and I think screening is important. I think that waiving screening is a terrible idea. We've seen...
We didn't waive it
No, I
completely,
know.
Connie. We're reserving the right, and I think that this is fair,
Well,
given the fact that it's 2,500 feet off the road.
So,
I mean, it's so far back. I think that this allows us to make the determination, and if we, once it's constructed and we believe that it's necessary,
Right.
then we mandate it.
I
And they
get
have to adhere to it.
It's listed as a waiver, though.
Yeah, but we're reserving the right.
Yeah, once you grant the waiver, you grant the waiver. But again, it's up to the board. Unless this is reviewed appropriately under the DES requirements, I can't vote for this. It sets a precedent that moving forward is problematic, to say the least, and completely dismisses the wishes of the people of town folk of Carver. So that's where I'm at. So my strong vote is, if it went through the best process, I would almost certainly be fine with it, but it hasn't done it. I think we're co-opting what we shouldn't. But again, Amy Questle has given you guys to go ahead to do it. I completely disagree with what she stated, and given the opportunity to argue with her, I would, but she didn't give us that opportunity. I think she's mistaken in the fact that the building inspector interprets permits and variances.
You know what, Connie, if I may, I think that we should just even toss the question of the building inspector, I'm sorry if...
No, you
the
have to speak close to your mic. I'm sitting right under.
Yeah, me too. The whole question of the town plan and what the town planner said, I think that's just totally a red herring. It's just toss that completely. I mean, like you say, it comes down to the merits of the question of whether it is or it isn't, whether it's the building inspector to make the determination or we have to. But I think we should leave the whole question of what the town planner said, when and why, completely out of it, because I don't vote at town meeting based on what someone says. I vote on what's on the paper in front of me or what's been amended. So I think we shouldn't even worry about that at all. But no, I have the same concerns you do over that. not about the, not gonna talk only, no, not about the screening. I think I'm fine with the language of the screening, but I do think we need to get this question, of whether the bylaw applies or not, nailed down.
Like I said, if it went through the appropriate engineering review of the best bylaw and we know what we're agreeing to or not agreeing to, I'd be a lot more comfortable with it. I would expect that we would be allowed to waive the requirement for a public hearing on this, as we've had so many in regards to it. It was listed. But that's where I stand. I can't vote in favor of it if we don't do the process appropriately.
Understood.
Andy Glines with Fussin O'Neill. I guess just to clarify, Fussin O'Neill's original memo that was dated December 10th did have some comments or questions regarding the battery energy storage system, but then as part of the applicant's response to comments as well as town council and the building department input, we didn't carry those comments through to the second memo that was issued in February. That said, we are happy to review the battery energy storage system as part of the building permit process as a joint effort with the building department if the board wishes us to do so.
If we voted for it, it would have to be that it would be fully in compliance with the battery energy storage systems bylaw, and that we specifically in this one particular instance would waive the public hearing requirements. We're gonna have to check if we can do that, but how do we address the fact that it's not allowed in this particular zone?
Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
I just want to say it one more time. The town council has said this is an allowed use as an accessory use to a solar array. So from town council's point of view, it does not need a special permit. So that's where we're at. And we will need
She didn't address
time
how,
waiver.
she didn't address the use chart.
Yeah, that's not them.
It's an allowed accessory use.
Under our usage chart?
What?
The usage chart only identifies principal uses. So,
Okay.
and you don't allow multiple principal uses in this district.
I see your point, yeah.
Well, I still think that this is tremendously informative that this is her opinion. And I, too, like Mr. Maynard, would scratch the last paragraph because that means nothing to me. But with this being written and what Sean has stated,
Well, basically, what this says is that the building inspector can overrule the planning board. That he can overrule whatever particular, he can interpret the laws in whatever way he sees fit, not us, not the planning board. Why do we even sit here if we're not here to interpret the needs and necessities, the safety, health, and welfare of our community? The building inspector, and specifically it says enforcement of permits and variances issued thereunder, which by my count is us. We issue the permits. We don't really issue variances, but that's the ZBA, and that's he doesn't interpret that. We or the ZBA
no,
interprets that.
I would agree. I agree. Well, would you, as you previously stated, be agreeable to having it conditioned?
If it was fully and entirely in compliance with the BESS bylaws as reviewed by Fussin O'Neill, I would be, if it's possible, willing to waive the special permit requirements as we've done so much with this in the public setting as it is. But again, all right, yep, so, and we've addressed as an accessory issue, so.
And to be clear, we don't have any concerns with the technical requirements of the bylaw. It is the zoning prohibition that obviously is the concern. So we would be amenable to a condition of reviewing, per the technical requirements of
Okay.
that, prior to building permit or something to that effect.
And they did make the point that it is not the primary use, so.
Right, right. Can we incorporate that?
Yeah.
Okay. With that understanding? With that being incorporated and with that understanding, is the board in a position to make a motion on this?
So we're waiving the screening, I'm back at it.
Well, it's not, I don't interpret this as waiving it. I don't,
So,
because we're reserving the right.
so what do we do with waiver number 2? I mean, the applicant said it's not a problem that they
Right.
put it in, that this isn't an issue if they put it in, so if it can get done tonight.
The applicant would be happy if that language became conditional, the waiver was granted conditional upon compliance with condition 4C or something to tie the two together. Does that suffice? So it's clear that the requirement to evaluate is necessary, but the waiver is granted only if that evaluation suggests it's not needed?
Well, was it left in this decision for the purpose of determining whether or not it was going to go into the waiver section or condition section?
It's currently in both.
Yeah, I know, that's
Okay,
what,
yeah.
it doesn't make any sense.
I think technically the waiver section it's also a submittal requirement. So
Right.
when we request this submittal that, so I think the concept of a conditional waiver is workable.
Okay.
Just because it sets forth that the waiver is granted subject to satisfying the conditions.
Correct.
So we're gonna make it a conditional waiver number 2 based on further review by the board. Is the board gonna go down there before the occupancy
I will,
permit?
yeah.
We'll schedule an appointment prior to the issuance of an occupancy permit and see
Yes,
what it looks like.
yeah,
That's fair, and I can live with that.
absolutely. Very good. All right, now that, if that's all factored in. Anyone want to make a motion to approve? What's that?
We closed it.
We closed it, yeah.
If I may, Madam Chair, I can.
Yes.
I prepared a draft condition regarding the battery energy storage system
Okay.
review. I could just read that piece.
Oh, sure.
And make sure that everyone's in agreement on the language on that before it's
Very good.
incorporated. A review of zoning bylaw Article 3-7 battery energy storage system shall be conducted by the town peer review consultant prior to issuance of a building permit to ensure that the proposed battery energy storage system is consistent with the requirements of the section.
All concerns will be addressed favorably.
I guess, yeah, I could add a statement that applicant shall revise
Plans
submission
is noted.
documents to address
Yeah, documents
comments.
is noted, that's fine.
I guess the only hesitation I have there is that that could be misconstrued to also include the zoning.
Yeah,
Or do you feel like that's
I
okay?
think we
Okay, we're,
discussed that that's opportunity.
Yeah, I guess that the intent was to just reference
Technical.
Article 3-7 and not the use table.
Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're amenable to that.
And prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy reviewed by the planning board for,
I was gonna read that one.
Yeah.
I actually put it under prior to the final electrical inspection, interconnection of the power grid, because they don't have an occupancy permit for the solar. A planning board member will visit the site and determine if additional screening is needed.
The planning
You
board
can-
members.
Members. yeah.
Members, you want
The
members?
board, yeah.
Should be a site walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you ask Mr. Shea, he'll tell you one thing, but if you ask me, I might tell you another. So.
Sounds good.
No.
All depends on how sunny the day is, I suppose.
What prescription eyeglasses you're wearing.
All right, well, given that all those concerns are now incorporated, correct?
And it will be, we will be specifically waiving the requirements of a special permit. Specifically to this one instance. Because if we don't identify that,
Right. Can that be incorporated into the decision?
just,
I have to research that. I can't give you a yes or no.
Should we be covering ourselves a little by saying that due to the opinion raised?
I would put it as a waiver, for the special permit requirements specific to this one particular.
But the rationale, I think, that way, because otherwise someone's going to try and use it as a precedent, I would think.
That is correct, yeah.
So that would be a waiver to the effect of, based upon the information presented, including opinions of
Deferring to the, I would say deferring to the opinion of the
zoning enforcement officer.
town council, no?
That this particular specific but I wouldn't even refer it to that. I would make, this is how we interpret it, that we've gone through the process, we've addressed all the issues, and if they're complying with all the requirements of the bylaw, there should not be a necessity for a special permit at this time.
So I mean, hide behind the lawyer, but I think, we should just, my point is that town council's role is advisory. They're advised us.
Is broad and far-reaching for all projects. I think we limited specifically to this project, and the planning board finds that the conditions are met. And
Well,
we
I
can-
think it's important to put the onus on her, to be honest with you, that under the advisement of town council.
Specific to this one instance? Okay.
Yeah.
The word
I do.
specific.
Both and.
Specific to this one application,
Yeah,
because we're gonna be dealing with it with the other
Right,
two
correct.
applications.
so I think that this is important.
It'll give us a little bit of shelter if we, if,
Yeah.
there'll be an if.
But we'll be back in a couple weeks. And
So how's it gonna read?
Can you tell me?
The planning board waives the requirement for special permit in regards to this one specific project. That's not the right word I want to use. Application?
Application. yeah.
could I offer?
Sure, yes, please.
The planning board waives any requirement for the BESS component of the project to obtain a special permit in this instance based upon
Town
the
council.
town council's opinion and
But we are requiring the BESS.
I was gonna, and
We're not requiring the special permit.
Right, the special
the
permit.
BESS special permit, and in accordance with the condition related to the further review at the time of building permit.
I don't think we can waive a special permit in a decision.
I mean,
No.
that's what,
Applied for one.
What is it?
He said we cannot waive, he doesn't believe we can waive the special permit in that decision.
Yeah, usually it's a separate filing to waive a special permit. If you can do it in the bylaw, I don't think we should allow it in a condition if we're gonna do it that
We
way.
just state that we, in this instance, we have deferred to the town council's opinion. And as such, will not, I don't know.
We did not apply for a special permit for the BESS, so in some respects, it's not necessary to waive it. I think we're at a comfortable place. I understand the point of just trying to make it limited to this project, but
Maybe, if I may, is waive the wrong term here? It's a determination that it's not
Could
applicable?
you just state your name for the record?
Yeah, Brandon Smith, newly. Yeah, I was just...
determination that it's not required.
I
Right.
think that's what we're trying to get at, trying to find a way to state, to express that,
See, that sets precedence for all, for future, which I think is a mistake. I think,
Well, we absolutely have to make it specific to this and to Amy's correspondence. I think that that's crucial. How we address that, I'm not sure.
In some respects, to be perfectly honest, it might be better off not being stated in the decision because I do understand the point that you don't want it to be a precedential decision in a decision.
Right.
But if you're making a decision based upon the information that's been presented for this case, you should be limited to the information that's been presented for this matter.
Right.
So if there's a concern about keeping it in, I think that we're better off without the specific statement.
If I may,
Yes.
Andy Glines with Fuston O'Neill. Out of my area of expertise, but I would suggest the board could leave the current application in front of them open, but then issue a separate public notice for a public hearing for the special permit specifically regarding, or the public notice to waive the special permit specifically regarding that one item, not the entire application. I know in the past this board has issued separate decisions regarding a site plan review and a special permit, but it's, I don't know, I guess, I don't know if that...
I would be fine with that.
So basically, it would allow the planning board to potentially close the public hearing on the site plan review that's in front of them now, but then have a separate notice for waiving the special permit before they render a decision on what's in front of them. I don't know if the applicant wants
We
to weigh
did
in on
close the
that.
public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did close the public hearing already, yeah.
But it's essentially the only item that is currently up for discussion is whether or not a special permit is required, is my understanding. So, I think a separate decision regarding that could be made. In the past, I know there's been other projects where it's been concurrent submission, site plan review, special permit review.
It should all be concurrent. It would have saved us a whole headache.
Yeah, and I'm a little reluctant to suggest that we break up this application at this point, given the hearing's closed. I think we're at a point where we have good language that should satisfy the board that the review will be done. We've addressed several instances. I don't know that there's a perfect solution to prevent precedent. I do honestly feel that, if you're presented with a different opinion of council in 2 weeks, then you're not bound by this decision tonight. So that is something that I just firmly reiterate, and someone who sits on my planning board, I can understand why, there's a little concern there, but I don't think you don't establish precedent, you just can't be arbitrary. And as long as you're basing your decision on information you have before you, right now that decision in part is based upon the determination that you don't need a special permit for the BESS right now.
Right.
I think that's a fair decision. I don't think it's going to prejudice the board in the future.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I would agree, because if
Are
we
we
didn't,
going-
if we didn't have this,
Right, so, and I get
Yeah.
that, so should we continue with this? Are we not expecting a special permit application for the BES systems for the other two applications that are in front of us tonight, or any future applications in front of us tonight, or is that something that we're gonna get done and sort out now?
Well, I'd only like to deal with this matter.
I would too, but this matter is going to be, they're gonna be in front of us in 4 weeks.
Mhm.
And are we gonna have this whole same discussion on whether we're just gonna throw the BES bylaws out the window and continue with what we're doing? Or do we continue to next meeting, open, close, and hold our BES hearing on the same night and take care of everything? That would be the appropriate way to approach it.
I don't think it's quite that simple. Like, if to waive a special permit, we would have to file, do public notice, do a butter notification. It's not something I'd feel comfortable that we can handle at the next meeting, to be honest.
That you can't handle in a month?
Yes.
I thought it was, how long does it take?
It's, you gotta have the newspaper ad in two weeks before. We'd have to consult with council again. I just can't guarantee that. I don't feel comfortable with that. I think we're at a point where we have a good decision. We put a lot of work on the project. I think we're at a point where we can vote. I don't, and I obviously represent two other projects, so I know that we're going to have continued discussions on this, but as you can appreciate, we are, between opinions of town officials and board members, so I think we'll have to continue to advance those discussions to come up with a workable solution.
Well, I'd like to get everything put away on April 28th. I mean, I'd love to be able to open and close 3 special permits and close them all in the same night and move on with our lives and have established that systems of the quantity as defined in our bylaws we're meeting the expectations of our town.
So you don't think that we should vote on this tonight, is your?
If I thought we could do it legally, I would, and I just don't think we are. I mean, if it was within our power to waive the requirements for the public hearing in regard to BESS, which I think should have run concurrently with special permit, and maybe it can be included as accessory to the special permit in regards to that, maybe, if there's a way we can do it legally, but I think I don't want to throw that bylaw out the window, because I think in the coming years it's going to be exceptionally important to this town. We already watched the BES system jump back and forth between town lines.
I agree. Any opinions or thoughts from the board? No? Any suggestions?
We will need a time waiver to extend this further. That's what the board wants.
What is it? We are meeting tomorrow night. There's not a time requirement to get a couple answers.
Right.
Give our town planner a day to sweat it out, and readjust we can change our meeting schedule for tomorrow.
We could do that.
I guess, I'm sorry if I'm not following this. I thought that it was determined that the battery being accessory to solar was allowable.
It is.
So, and I thought we kind of had crossed that bridge, so why are we discussing?
A special permit is required for battery energy storage systems over 1 megawatt.
Even when it's an accessory to a solar project, I guess that's my understanding, was that if it's accessory, you wouldn't.
The bylaw, it's specific to, this is the definition of a battery energy system, tier 1, 2, and 3. This is a Tier 3 system. A Tier 3 system requires to have a special permit, and that wasn't applied for, and that wasn't done. And we're trying to work with you. We're trying very hard to work with you, and to see how to get this done, but without throwing our own bylaws out the window.
I understand that, but how I was following the conversation was that was understood, or that we were kind of coalescing around an understanding that would be for a primary use. And that we were kind of on the cusp of...
The usage chart is specific to a primary use, but the battery energy storage system says, this is a battery energy storage system. This is how we define what a battery energy storage system is. The only exclusions we give are to pretty much home-size systems, and there's no exclusion for something of this size in there, unless I'm...
Town council disagrees.
No, she doesn't give an exclusion. She says that our building inspector gets to interpret what we decide, and that's not the case.
Within the court case that she outlined in the email, does say it's an allowed use as an accessory use to an array.
Yes.
As long as it's helping with the performance of the array, which is this is what's happening in this project, and it's been proven multiple times in court that it's an allowed use from the state
We're
of
not saying it's
Massachusetts.
not an allowed
You,
use.
you are, by saying it requires a special permit, you're saying it's not an allowed
It's
use.
an accessory permit, which is, town council does not agree.
You don't typically apply for a special permit for an accessory use, be it whatever it might be. That's kind of almost in a way the definition of an accessory use,
Well,
that it's
would have been
permitted with the
defined in
primary
our
use.
bylaw, right? Usually we run them in conjunction when we have more than one special permit at a time. It's run at the same time. It's not identified in our bylaw that as an accessory use. It's excluded from the special permit process, and therein lies the problem. The usage chart will allow it as an accessory use, even though it says no in residential agricultural, because it's not the primary use. So the usage chart allows it, but the bylaw doesn't. The bylaw gives clear and specific examples of it.
Could we possibly have it be that the applicant, if required to, seek a special permit or waiver of the special permit requirement for the best separately, will do so?
So we, specific to our decision, we approve, say, the site plan and the special permit for the large-scale ground-mounted, and specifically note that the best will be continued under special permit to a
Well,
future meeting.
It wouldn't be continued if it's going to be separate.
Well,
and
it would be
distinct.
opened as a separate special permit at a
But it can't be tied into this.
If we need,
No.
okay.
What would be the particular piece of information that would be, or decision that would be probative in saying, okay, we feel totally comfortable making this? We have an opinion. A legal opinion is not a judicial opinion. A legal opinion is advisory. It can be, we advise you guys to stop at 8 o'clock and go home. I mean, that's an opinion. It's an informed opinion, but it's an opinion. Whereas if we have something from the Plymouth County Court that says, you must, you will, or the State Superior Court, we say, okay, well, we must, we will. So I think we need to have firm ground on this, because I'm concerned also that once we open the door, we set a precedent that we lose control, and we want to be able to do this the right way. So.
well, I think we are I mean, this is form over substance in some respects at this point, I believe. Again, we closed this hearing in January, I think. So we were really hoping to get a decision tonight. I think we've made a lot of accommodations.
I agree that we've been through this for a long time, but, I mean, this question has come up, and we were all expecting, awaiting an opinion, and I don't think this opinion has enough substance for us.
But to be fair, you just don't agree with the opinion.
I don't agree with...
And that's fine, respect
right.
that, but that's my opinion, that's town council's opinion, it's building and permits, but like, that's a lot of opinions. And so if we're wrong and we need a special permit, we're gonna have to come back and get a special permit. If that's what the ultimate determination is in 2 weeks, or 2 months, or 6 months, if it's determined that we need a special permit separately for the best, we're gonna have to get one.
Aren't we determining that right now? That's the determination.
Not necessarily, if you're not determining, if you're not specifically granting it.
The zoning enforcement officer determines if something needs a special permit. That's where it gets sent to the planning board. So that's when it would be caught.
Okay. So what Amy is saying is that he's not requiring a special permit for this particular application, project.
If we can stand on that, if we can stand on that, are you okay
Well,
with
we
it?
could refer that the building inspector for this specific particular project did not require a building permit in regards to the best facility, but, and we're doing our best to keep things moving and not hold up the applicant in regards to this, but this is a one-time special case that we've determined that the bylaw is the bylaw as written, and that all future cases must, because he hasn't had to address this issue and we haven't addressed this issue prior. So we can just take it that maybe we don't agree with his assessment, but we don't want to bury our applicants under all this incredible red tape. Right?
If we can express that,
We recognize
if we
that
can
the-
express that in such a way
All
that
right,
it
so-
says that with regard to present understanding, whether it's subsequently modified, that's within his right, and we're relying upon Amy's advice on this, and that is all specific to this case. We can put that in nice language that I can't say verbally, but I probably could write it. I'd say that would be something that seems like would fly.
I would think that in this, so the board recognizes that the building inspector did not require a special permit for this particular project, having had no guidance to go on, as this was the first time something of this sort had been addressed. And that the planning board will...
But has he?
Hmm?
Did he?
He did.
He did make that statement.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. And so we don't get anything in writing from him?
We have it in writing.
We do have it? So then that's what we should defer to.
Right.
Yeah.
With the understanding that he had, that this law, it hadn't been interpreted prior before, and he had no
Right.
understanding of the requirements of the planning board who interpret the laws.
Right.
So we can put it that way.
He'd still have to inspect it anyway, right?
Right.
So if he deems later that,
Yeah.
later on they have to come back, then they come back.
That's our
Maybe
risk.
that's
Yep.
maybe that's the agenda for the next meeting or something, so we discuss it formally, so there is some record of it at that point in time. It's not just something that gets discussed and people have to pull out
We
footnotes later.
recognize he didn't have the guidance of the permitting authority because we had never, this was a first case scenario and we're sorting things out. If we put it that way,
I think it has to be done a little differently than that, but that's just my opinion.
I mean, I think in some respects, simpler is better with, this determination is based upon the building inspector's determination. This decision is based upon the building inspector's determination the special permit is not required. But the planning board's requiring all of the conditions to be met through demonstration with, I think, something like that.
and
Just
it's not intended to waive the special permit requirements of the BESS bylaw. I think it could work together.
I think it would be pertinent to put it into the findings of the decision. I don't
Yes.
think it would be a condition. Amy actually wrote this decision herself, and I haven't touched it at all. I'd like her to rewrite it, and then if y'all could, if a decision is voted on, could you come in and sign it like when I get it?
Right, okay.
So, are we gonna use it in the findings that the building inspector, didn't feel that this, I'm sorry, you started the sentence, I kind
Yeah.
of finished it. I think you started kind of well.
I think a finding that, this decision is based upon, in part, a determination by the building inspector that a special permit is not required. And you can
And
say
I
that
would-
that's not necessarily, the planning board is not determining that's the case for all projects like this, or something to that
Right.
effect.
Having had no prior guidance from the planning board in regard to this particular zoning bylaw. Simple, keep it that way, and that we feel that the requirements are met through the conditions for this one particular case, and that in future instances,
That might be,
That's not
skip
simple
the having
anymore.
had no, bit, and just say, we feel that,
Yeah.
period, and then we feel that it is our opinion that the conditions are met through the expedients that you mentioned, so.
well, you have to put that this is the first time that he had no guidance in regards to this, because we are the permitting granting
Yeah,
authority.
no, I totally agree, I just don't think you can say it that way. So, I agree with your thought, I don't agree with your words.
Right, no, I kind of clumsy a little, it's getting late, so.
It's a matter of first impression for the planning board, and we're basing our decision in part on the zoning enforcement officer's determination that a special permit is not required.
If we started off with that, and said, this is the first such case the planning board has reviewed, and then say, as such, we have the building inspectors, opinion that a special permit is not required, and we're gonna go forward with that, and that's one way I tied it at the end.
Acting on the findings of the inspector,
Yeah.
something like that, or
Right,
something,
right.
yeah.
But we also have to put that this was a special case and not one that's gonna set precedent, that having had no guidance in the matter, or no prior decisions by the planning board in regards to this particular bylaw, that he felt it wasn't necessary at the time, and the planning board took all steps to bring it into compliance and do that.
I think we all understand what we're
Right.
trying to achieve
all right.
here.
So my recommendation is have Sean work with our applicant to come up with appropriate language that we can go to tomorrow night.
Okay.
Because we can sit here and throw words back and forth, and by the time I'm done saying them.
It's not going to matter because it's going to be Amy who reduces it to writing. Because
She won't be able to do it tonight, I'm sure Sean.
no, she's not going to do it tonight, but this is her decision. So I don't think he's going to make any substantial changes to something that she's written.
She won't be able to do it by tomorrow night.
Probably not.
We could ask,
can't
but
be there.
I think Sean could do it by tomorrow night.
I think Sean could, but he made the statement that he wasn't going to make any changes to it. Or
No, that
maybe-
he hadn't.
maybe-
That she
Oh,
had
that he
wrote it
hadn't.
and that he hadn't made
So
any changes.
he's going to have to communicate with her before he does, I would imagine.
I mean,
He can
Am
make
I-
it his own.
Yeah.
I think we're like 98% there. If the board were to vote subject to final for the language, I mean, you're not going to word the motion to approve with the specific language, but if you were to vote to
With the
approve,
understanding
we
that that was
could,
incorporated,
takes
yeah.
14 days to issue the
We can
decision.
vote the language tomorrow night. We
Sure.
can do that. All right. And we include it in the finals. I think we've got a good idea of where we're going with the language tonight. If you would put something together and, like you had started out earlier, based on our findings, and send it to Sean, and then we'll each come up with our own way to finish it, and we'll tie it all together
Yeah.
tomorrow night. But I think we can approve it with the
With the
caveat
understanding,
that
yes.
this language will be added to the decision tomorrow night when it can be
Right.
agreed on by the board.
Yeah, so I mean, tonight, hopefully you'd make a motion, you'd vote, approve the waivers, and then you don't sign the decision until you
Correct.
find the language tomorrow.
Right. Correct.
We're
And you're
okay with that.
amiable to that.
Pardon me?
You're amiable to that solution.
We are, yes.
We are, yeah.
And, I mean, the board has 14 days from the vote to issue a decision, so,
We do have 14 days and then another whatever for the final, but yeah, so it's,
The understanding is that we will vote on this contingent of, not contingent upon, but with the understanding that the language will be incorporated under the findings of the interpretation of the building inspector. And
Yeah, I'll have Amy put it in tomorrow, and then y'all can come and sign it.
Okay.
Whenever.
Very good. We have the meeting tomorrow
well, we
night
have a
as
meeting
well.
tomorrow night, yeah, bring it there and we can hash out the,
Very good. So we can get a motion to approve, subject to?
I'll make the motion to approve Tremont Street Solar, subject to the understanding that the language for this particular train of thought in regards to the BES system and special permitting, as understood with the applicant and discussed with the applicant, will be approved at a future meeting, hopefully tomorrow night.
Second.
Aye. Evan Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, just, do you typically vote separately on the waivers?
Sometimes not.
It's in the condition, it's in the approval, so I don't think it's necessary, but I just didn't want to miss a
It's the
beat.
best way to do it, but,
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's,
well, she left it, she did leave it like in the parentheses there,
Oh,
because I make a motion that we approve the first waiver for not having to list 10-inch caliper trees.
did you just make a motion, Carl? What were you referring to?
The waivers, there's 2 waivers in there.
And we vote on them separately?
I believe that's what the applicant requested.
well, just the, I think in
No,
past
just
meetings, there's been a vote on the waivers.
Right.
If you want to just vote to say the waivers are approved with the caveat that the second waiver is conditionally approved, I think that covers it.
Yeah, conditional upon a site visit prior to interconnection.
Or, yeah.
Because the first one is 10-inch caliber trees, and that's, I don't see that as being an issue. And the second one was the waiver, but we decided that that was conditional on the site plan review. So the second waiver is conditional on the site plan review, and we, for all
Right.
intents and purposes, approved the first one.
Approved it, yeah.
It's included in our decision.
Yeah,
Right.
so I think we're good.
Yeah.
It's fine, I just want to miss a beat.
No, you're
so-
just being cautious.
Yeah.
I was starting to
Yeah.
think I was missing something in its entirety, so, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate the
Good night.
time.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, so that's about it for the items on the agenda this evening. I would just like to take this opportunity again to welcome Sean Lewis as the new town planner, and we are very fortunate to have him on board. So thank you, Sean.
Yeah, sorry, it was a very particularly difficult night. Normally
love
it's
it
not
tonight.
quite like this.
And do you have any town planner notes?
No.
Okay, very good. All right.
If
Any
he
other-
did, he's not second.
Yeah. Do we have any other matters to discuss, or moving on to minutes? Okay,
Nothing at this time.
all right, very good.
Right. The minutes of 12/16/2025 on the first page, it says the Barrett Group is looking forward to working with Plymouth, but I think she meant to say Carver.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
the only edit I saw on that one.
Okay, all right. And
But otherwise, I'll make a motion to approve. with
subject to
edits.
that, okay, very good.
Subject to edits.
All right, Second. Mr. Lake,
Abstain, haven't got them.
you have to start reading the minutes.
Can't get them on the computer.
I don't care, you have to start reading it, this can't happen anymore.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sedillo says.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye. You either have to come in early and get them, or do something, this can't continue. Next, we have the minutes of January 13th. And I did notice something.
I did too, but I can't remember what it was off the top of my head.
I think this pertains to Mr. Maynard, and it was stated Mr. Allen.
It does
That's
say
my
Mr.
alias.
Allen.
Yeah.
Under 15 Pleasant Street.
It's quiet over my corner, I thought
Yeah.
it was fun, you know?
But other than that, that's all I picked up on, is that that should be corrected to say Mr. Maynard.
Mr. Maynard appreciates that, thank you.
Any other comments?
No, I thought there was something else, but I don't see it. Scanning it, so I'm not overly concerned about it. Thank you, Kevin. Motion to approve the meeting minutes of January 13th, 2026.
And I'll
Subject to
second
the
that.
revisions, the corrections.
With
Yes.
corrections.
Yeah, okay, very good. Seconded. And you're abstaining?
Abstain.
Okay.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye. And that would be it for this evening. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye. Thank you and have a good evening.